Chapter 676, Charity Begins at Home. Little Quack, it seems you're in a good mood. I guess you just finished making trouble, right? Liu Jingning came up with her skirt swinging in the wind. After boarding the jet fighter, she looked at Zhu Ke with a curious smile. By heaven, I just finished some good deeds. Zhu Ke replied with a smile. He had just revived Zhao Re and tied the nuptial knot with the beautiful Taoist nun, sacrificing himself to solve her problem of being single. Couldn't those things be deemed good deeds? Liu Jingning was very curious about the stealth jet fighter. After watching the jet fighter closely, she failed to find out how it could be invisible. So, she couldn't help but ask, Little Quack, where did you get this thing? Why haven't I seen anything like it before? This is a stealth jet fighter. Have you watched the SHIELD? It is really invisible. Zhu Ke replied. When he was about to boast more about it, Wanjud and Buttface rushed over. Damn, little brat, you put HS before brothers. Now this plane is mine. Buttface shouted as he rushed into the cabin. Wanjud also spoke solemnly. Young man, you should at the very least respect the old and cherish the young. Respect the old and cherish the young? Zhu Ke was a bit stunned. He had tied the nuptial knot with Wanjud's beautiful master. Maybe a predestined marriage had been waiting for him. According to the laws of seniority in family, he could technically be the senior of Wanjud. In this sense, it really is necessary to respect the old and cherish the young. What you say is correct. I should respect the old and cherish the young. Come on, welcome aboard. Zhu Ke smiled immediately and welcomed Zujud into the cabin. Wanjud was surprised. He hadn't expected Zhu Ke to follow his words and respect his seniors. Ha, young man, you're terrific. It was a pity that he thought Zhu Ke was respecting his seniors. He didn't expect Zhu Ke was treating him as his junior. While this was happening, over a dozen big ships in the open waters around the island were fighting each other fiercely. The big ships of the big families and sects were so strong that they were only slightly scratched during the violent collisions. As the fighting turned white hot, some powerhouses couldn't help but frown. We have to change the situation immediately, Bei Lingrui, the Holy Virgin of the Bei family said. Otherwise, by the time this fight is over, the quiet period of the upflowing sea will be finished. This time many powerhouses of the Bei family were participating in the Mystery Land trial. However, Bei Lingrui still enjoyed the higher seniority and status among them, so she had great discursive power. Hearing her words, the other powerhouses at the Void training stage nodded. What our Holy Virgin says is correct. We can't waste our time here. If we can't find a solution, I suggest we retreat now. It's a pity that we're short-handed. Otherwise, we could still compete with them. The Zhang family and the Gong family are also in bad states. It seems they are also planning to retreat. Are we really going to withdraw from the competition and let the other continents win this island? Many people frowned, trapped in the dilemma. Standing at the ship's bow, Bei Lingrui was considering all their options. The lights of her thoughts flashing in her eyes, she fixed her eyes on the jet fighter which revealed itself on the island. The next moment, she was struck with an idea, and a smile appeared on her lips. Maybe we could still find a solution by making use of that guy. Bei Lingrui said. Making use of Zhu Ke? Several elders of the Bei family asked at once, stunned. After being cheated by Zhu Ke several times, these elders felt nervous hearing his name. They didn't want to provoke him further. Bei Lingrui smiled confidently as she mapped out a strategy in her heart. As one of the most powerful families in the East Continent, the Bei family will never be scared off by that guy. He has cheated us out of many spirit stones. However, this is also his weakness. Since he is so fond of spirit stones, we will exploit what he likes. Bei Lingrui smiled coldly. The Bei family's elders were confused. Holy Virgin, please explain. He has threatened and robbed all of us, but I don't believe everyone has lost all their spirit stones. How would they be propelling their ships? Therefore, we could join hands with the Zhang family and the Gong family by declaring that guy owns the island. Hearing her words, the elders' eyes lit up. She continued, when we declare that, no one will dare object us. I guess he has extracted all the living holy water, so he should have lost interest in this island. We could discuss with him about deciding the attribution of the island through an auction. Of course, all the spirit stones collected from the auction will belong to him. Hearing her words, the elders immediately cheered up. Our Holy Virgin is very smart. This is a good idea indeed. With the presence of that guy, no one will dare object our proposal. However, if the attribution of the island will be decided through auction, I'm afraid we don't have enough spirit stones for that. After all, after being robbed by that guy twice, we really don't have a lot of spirit stones left. Someone pointed out. Balingrui replied with a smile. That's the reason we should join hands with the Zhang family and the Gong family. If they participate in the auction, there won't be enough living holy water for distribution. Therefore, I think we should find an excuse to borrow some spirit stones from them, such as not having enough to propel our ship. After saying that, she started to speak sarcastically, a chilly light in her eyes. We will be the ultimate owners of this island, and the other families and sects won't hold grudges against us. On the contrary, they will hate that guy more. When he leaves the upflowing sea, he will absolutely be the target of many people. Good idea. The elders, the Bei family, laughed, agreeing to Balingrui's plan. As long as they could get the island, they could wait there for around 20 days until the regeneration of the living holy water in the living holy tree, which would be profitable for them no matter how many spirit stones they had spent in the auction. In addition, this would further worsen the relationship between Zuke and the other families and sects, which could avenge the Bei family's loss. Soon, people of the Bei family were mobilized. Some of them borrowed a large sum of spirit stones from the Zhang family and the Gong family with the excuse that they had run out of spirit stones. Meanwhile, Balingrui sent a message to Zuke personally to express her idea of obtaining the island through an auction. Zuke was stunned by her message, for he didn't understand why they still wanted to get the island as the living holy tree was gone. He soon realized the reason. When he was flying, he could overlook the entire island. He had quickly spotted the living holy tree, but the Bei family and the other families and sects couldn't fly, and they could only look at the island from afar. The living holy tree was located at a low-lying place. Therefore, they couldn't have discovered the tree was no longer there at all. At the thought of this, Zuke agreed by nodding his head immediately. Certainly, I am not the type of person who doesn't want to share the wealth with others. All of us are from the East Continent. Charity begins at home. Since you want this island, I could definitely transfer it to you. I really appreciate that, Lord Zhu. Balingrui sent the message as she stood on the ship's bow with an ironic and sarcastic smile on her face. Chapter 677. An enjoyable cooperation. After a short while, they finished their negotiation and reached a satisfactory agreement. The Bei family would stop the fight first. Guys, stop fighting. An old man of the Bei family shouted on their ship. What are you doing? According to the rules, the one who lands on the island first will own the island. Now young Master Zhu has become the owner, and we'll become enemies with him if we continue to fight here. His sonorous voice echoed throughout the area. The other families and sects stopped fighting immediately. Zuke nodded his head on the shore. Right. Are you going to rob me of my island? The appearance of Zuke froze the cultivators' blood. They waved their hands hurriedly and said, Young Master Zhu, you misunderstood us. We would never do that. Right. We saw some guys trying to rob your island, so we decided to beat them back. We really mean well. Zuke dismissively waved his hand. It's okay. Anyway, this island is boring now, so I'll leave it to you. You know the Exploding Heavens faction is short of spirit stones. Therefore, you could bid for the island now. The one who offers the highest price will be its new owner. How does that sound? The one who offers the highest price will be the new owner? Hearing his words, the cultivators' eyes lit up. This suggestion satisfied them. After all, it was meaningless to continue fighting, for it could only cause all of their destruction. Zuke's suggestion of vying for the island with spirit stones was definitely a good idea. Young Master Zhu, the Yun family still has 1 million best-grade spirit stones. We plan to propel our ship with them, but now we will bid for this island with them. The Holy Virgin of the Yun family of the North Sea said immediately to get the upper hand. The other families and sects also gave their bids after her. The Lin family offers 2 million best grade spirit stones. The Zhang family offers 2,300,000 best grade spirit stones. The Bei family offers 10 million best grade spirit stones. An old man of the Bei family cried. This price overwhelmed all the other families and sects, and the entire area fell silent. Many cultivators were quite curious how the Bei family could have so many spirit stones left after Zhu Kei's 2 extortions. How many spirit stones did they bring for this Mystery Land trial? FCK. Damn, the Bei family is a bunch of crafty scoundrels. The Zhang family and the Gong family started to curse gloomily. Now they knew why the Bei family had borrowed spirit stones from them. Zhu Kei was also shocked. Apparently, he didn't expect these guys to be crafty enough to hide so many spirit stones. It seems you still have a lot of spirit stones left. I remember I ordered you to surrender all your spirit stones just now. I didn't expect you to have so many left. Zhu Kei said with a dead-eyed smile. Oh, no. His smile made the cultivators quite nervous. Bei Lingrui was also shocked. Then, she furrowed her eyebrows in thought. It seemed her plan was not perfect, for if Zhu Kei robbed them again, they could do nothing to stop him. However, just at this time, Zhu Kei started speaking with a generous smile. Guys, please don't worry. The Exploding Heavens faction has a rule about stealing. Today, I am in a good mood, so I won't rob you again. So, the Bei family offered the highest price, right? Hand in 10 million best grade spirit stones and the Bei family will be the new owner of this island. Hearing his words, those cultivators' expressions changed immediately. If the Bei family obtained the island, they would have to return empty-handed. However, a lot of people also let out a sigh of relief. At least they could leave together with the spirit stones they had hidden just now. The Bei family were delighted and started silently celebrating. Bei Lingrui's sarcastic expression became more and more obvious. Zhu Kei of the Exploding Heavens faction is nothing but a dumbass. She internally sneered as she asked an apprentice of the Bei family to hand in a storage ring full of spirit stones to Zhu Kei. After that, the ship of the Bei family sailed toward the island proudly in front of numerous jealous and unconvinced eyes. The elders of the Bei family could finally rest assured. They also felt lucky about Bei Lingrui's plan. Otherwise, the Bei family would also have to return empty-handed. Okay, this has been a very satisfying deal. I have to deal with some important business, so I have to leave now. Farewell. Zhu Kei checked the spirit stones in the storage ring and got ready to leave. After all, there was nothing left on this island, so it was unnecessary to waste time on it anymore. He would go to harvest the other 17 living holy trees and the living holy water. When he was about to turn around and walk to his jet fighter, Bei Lingrui sent a message to him. Lord Zhu, if you leave here, I'm afraid they will try to rob us of this island. Could you stay here a little bit longer so that we could set up defensive spells? Don't worry, let me handle it. Zhu Kei said with a pat of his chest. He turned to the other cultivators and harshly shouted, Guys, since this island has become the property of the Bei family, I will leave now. However, I have to warn you that the ships of the Exploding Heavens faction are ubiquitous. Anyone who dares to rob the Bei family of this island will be attacked mercilessly. Remember, this warning is also for your own sake. Don't make meaningless sacrifices. His words dismissed the evil ideas of many families and sects immediately. The living holy water was precious. However, compared to life, it was nothing. For our own sake, hey. We'll repay your kindness by doubling what you've done to us after leaving the Mystery Land. No, for an eye, both eyes, for a tooth, a whole jaw. Many people resentfully cursed him in their hearts. The Bei family laughed harder, for Zhu Kei's words ensured their safety and greatly offended the other families and sects. Should we describe him as foolish or stupid? He is both foolish and stupid. Haha, he is too young. If we knew we could solve the problem with only 10 million best grade spirit stones, we wouldn't have fought so hard at the very beginning. That's enough. Let's set up spells on the island. After 20 days, we will obtain the living holy water. which will ensure the Bay family entering the top 3 of this competition. As the members of the Bay family sent messages to each other, their ship approached the island at last. Several powerhouses landed on the island one after another. At the same time, Zhuge waved them goodbye and piloted his jet fighter off the island to fly toward the second island. However, when the plane had just taken off, the island filled with exclamations of the Bay family. How could this be? Where is the tree? It seems the tree has been uprooted by someone. That's impossible. Nobody in this world could move the living holy tree. Then can you tell me where the tree is? They were quite confused and didn't know what had happened. Hearing their exclamations, the cultivators outside the island immediately became interested. What's going on? It seems something happened in the Bay family. I think I heard that the living holy tree is gone. How could that be? Could the tree have been uprooted by someone? Just at this moment, Zhuge's sonorous voice came from the jet fighter in the sky. Buttface, wake up. Chop the living holy tree into firewood now. Otherwise, we won't have enough firewood to boil the bathwater tonight. Chapter 678, He is totally lunatic. The entire area was in an uproar. No one could believe what they had heard. The living holy tree was pulled out. It's the legendary, unshakable, divine tree. It has existed for so long. How could it be pulled out? And the one who pulled out the living holy tree is just an ordinary person. He said he is going to cut up the living holy tree and use it as firewood to heat his bath water. Damn, it's unnecessary to be so extravagant in preparing a bath. Countless people would be devastated hearing that such a rare treasure was burned as firewood. People of the Bay family on the island were paler than death. Now they realized they had been cheated. Enthusiastically and willingly cheated. With their faces warped by ferocious, furious expressions and their eyes full of fire, several elders spat blood on the spot. How many times have we been cheated by him? An elder yelled hysterically. Why is the Bay family always getting cheated? Some young members of the Bay family asked the heavens with their eyes full of rage and helplessness. We spent 10 million best-grade spirit stones to buy a useless empty island. Zhuge, with a ghastly pale face, Bailingrui shouted Zhuge's name through clenched teeth. Her voice was full of hatred. Her bright eyes were filled with intense murderous intent. She clenched her little fists furiously and her palms, which had been cut by her fingernails, were bleeding. She thought she could cheat Zhuge this time. She hadn't anticipated being cheated by Zhuge again. Her heart was full of terror and helplessness. She hadn't even suspected that unshakable living holy tree could be pulled out by Zhuge. Even more infuriating was that he had pretended to be a conscientious businessman by warning the other families and sects to stay away from this island after pulling out the living holy tree. Nobody was interested in an island without a living holy tree. Now I understand the meaning of that young man's words before he left. Outside the island, some powerhouses of other big families and sects started to gloat about the Bay family's loss after coming to themselves. What do you mean? Someone asked. That young man warned us to stay away from this island to avoid unnecessary losses. His warning was for our benefit. I thought he was just talking tough. I didn't expect it was really for our own sake, right? If not for his warning, we would have really started a fight for this island, which would have inevitably caused great casualties. Yes, we should appreciate that young man. What a good man he is. Many people started to commend Zhuge with great emotion. Of course, their exclamations were nothing more than the deliberate ridicule of the Bay family's foolishness. Full of nothing but rage, people of the Bay family could say nothing to retort. After all, to the other families and sects, the Bay family had dug their own grave, paid spirit stones to Zhuge, and asked him to push them into it. Who else could they blame for that? Over a month later, Zhuge was driving the stealth jet fighter to the 18th island. During the last month, they had kept moving forward. They had harvested all the living holy water and living holy trees on the islands in the upflowing sea. On the second island, Buttface and Wanjud also tried to pull out the living holy tree. Although they tried their best, they couldn't even shake the living holy tree, let alone pull it out. At last, an exasperated Buttface had bitten the living holy tree, but he only created a faint scratch after losing one tooth. However, The scratch quickly disappeared in a gust of wind. After Zhu Ke pulled out the living holy tree with the assistance of the system, Duanjud and Buttface, who were dumbfounded, reluctantly admitted Zhu Ke was a monster. Zhu Ke gained an exceptional advantage in this period. 18 living holy trees and 18 lake-sized pools of living holy water were better than expected good luck and fortune for him. Originally, all the families and sects in the 4 continents were fiercely competing for 2 lake-sized pools of the living holy water. Only the top 50 families and sects could share that living holy water according to the rank. It was a pity that everything in this year's competition had been completely ruined. Zhu Ke took exclusive possession of all 18 lake-sized pools of living holy water and also pulled out all the living holy trees. He had completely monopolized the supply of the living holy water. Liu Jingning only got around half a lake-sized pool of living holy water from Zhu Ke. It was not because Zhu Ke was greedy, but Liu Jingning simply didn't want to take too much. She said she didn't need too much living holy water. Half a lake-sized pool was already excessive for her. She would take some with her and submit the rest to her faction to accomplish her task. She really didn't want to take more. So Zhu Ke chose to keep silent. After taking away all the living holy water and the living holy tree in the last island, they crossed the upflowing sea and headed for the 3rd layer of the Mystery Land. During this period, all families and sects had retreated from the upflowing sea. After all, the quiet period of the upflowing sea was about to end. No matter how robust their ships were, they didn't have the guts to sail in the furious upflowing sea. After being sabotaged by Zhu Ke, all the families and sects had to return empty-handed. Some of them continued to search for a fortune and opportunities in the 1st layer. The rest just left the Mystery Land in advance to deliver the news to the outside world. People in the outside world were shocked by Zhu Ke's immoral actions in the Mystery Land. Some exclaimed their anger, some roared. Some didn't want to accept the truth, some simply groaned. Did he kill all the members of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe and the Prevailing Wind Pavilion with bizarre miraculous items? What? Even their ships were ruined? What? Were you robbed by him? What? Did he almost rape the holy virgins? What? He robbed the living holy water? What? He pulled out the living holy tree? Holy SHT. What the hell? Are you lying to us? Many people didn't believe the news, for it was absurd. As more and more people left the Mystery Land, the authenticity of the news was confirmed. The dumbfounded cultivators in the outside world were in an uproar. This guy is poisonous, he is abominable, he's really a devil. He pulled out the living holy trees. When the Mystery Land is opened in 100 years, where will the trial participants find the living holy water? He killed the geese that lay the golden eggs. Damn, this guy is really the scum of the world of cultivators. If we knew this from the start, we wouldn't have let him enter the Mystery Land. He is totally lunatic. All of us have been cheated by Zhu Ke and Duanjud. They're not enemies at all. Alas, the world of cultivators is doomed. Everyone used to be deterred by the threat of Duanjud. Now, together with Zhu Ke and that dog, I'm afraid this world will be ruined. Many powerhouses outside the Mystery Land clasped their hands and pulled their hair, for they thought the future was black and couldn't see any hope. The families and sects from the East Continent sighed in despair, for Zhu Ke was also from the East Continent, and after his journey in the Mystery Land he would definitely return and continue to make trouble. There would then be no peace and quiet in the entire continent. Moreover, if Duanjud also followed Zhu Ke, the East Continent would be classified as a disaster zone. No, we have to stay. We can't let Zhu Ke leave here so easily. Someone said reluctantly. How can we deal with Duanjud? We don't need to worry about him. Duanjud said publicly in the upflowing sea that he won't protect Zhu Ke outside the Mystery Land. Damn, can we believe him? It seems our patriarchs should come here as soon as possible. This is quite an important issue because it's related to the living holy trees. I think our patriarchs would be interested in it. Then, let's get moving now. Anyway, we can't let that guy escape. Luckily, he is just an ordinary person for now. If he reaches the stage Duanjud is at, we won't have time for regrets. Many cultivators from the East Continent, the South Continent, and even the West Desert and the North Sea, discussed this issue. All of them had formed an unprecedented and unrepeatable alliance because of Zuke. They had finally reached an agreement to invite their patriarchs to kill Zuke when he left the Mystery Land. While this was going on, people from the Sky Incense Valley, who had reunited with Zuke not long ago, were dumbfounded by what they saw and heard. Zhang Suliang, Tang Zuru and other cultivators from the Five Elements Mountain were totally shocked by the news. Originally, they thought Zuke, as an ordinary person, wouldn't dare to make trouble in the Mystery Land, even with the protection of his protectors. None of them had expected Zuke to make such catastrophic trouble in the Mystery Land by robbing the families and sects from the 4 continents. He had even wanted to rape the Holy Virgins. My gosh, no one could be more wicked than him. I remember a poem he composed in the Fire Nation. Tang Zuru suddenly said with a wry smile. What poem? Everyone asked, glancing at her. After drawing a breath, Tang Zuru said, grip the sun and moon and pick the stars. There is no person like me in this world. Chapter 679. Your ancestor. Another 10 days went by quickly. Zuke crossed the upflowing sea with the jet fighter, and the trip was safe and smooth. Maybe the one who set up restrictive spells for the upflowing sea didn't expect someone could fly over it without using their spiritual chi. However, the quiet period of the upflowing sea had also ended in the past 10 days. Finally, Zuke could see the violent force of the upflowing sea from the air. The tempestuous waves rolled up to the sky like the Buddha's palm and created new waves as they fell back into the sea. When the tempestuous waves hit the sea's surface, the tremendous impact created a deafening sound that was as if the entire sea surface was about to be torn open. This scene shocked Zuke, who felt lucky that they didn't have to travel by water. Even the nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers wouldn't survive in those tempestuous waves. Little brat, we're almost there. The upflowing waterfall ahead of us is the entrance to the 3rd level of the Mystery Land. Buttface reminded him. Zuke nodded slightly as he stared forward. The waterfall was quite magnificent. All the seawater flowed violently up into it. From afar, the water flow seemed like an erupting volcano spraying water into the sky. This scene looked quite beautiful, but it was extremely dangerous. Zuke's jet fighter could never approach the waterfall. It would be smashed by the violent winds surrounding it. It's a rigorous test of my driving skills. If I make a mistake, all of us will die here, Zuke said with furrowed eyebrows. This jet fighter looked quite miraculous, but it was weaker than ordinary magical artifacts and would never withstand the tearing force of the wind. Wanjud grinned his yellow teeth. Hey, it seems only I could solve this problem. This place is boring for me. I've been here numerous times. After saying that, he stepped forward and performed a complicated magic art. Whoosh! The next moment, strands of dazzling runes flew from his hands and gushed out of the jet fighter to form a bright light bridge between the top of the waterfall and the jet fighter, which kept out all the seawater and wild wind. Zuke was surprised. What? How could you use magic art here? Wanjud waved his hand dismissively. Although nobody in this world could defeat me, I'm still not strong enough to challenge the restrictive spells in the upflowing sea. This magic art is the correct way to open the entrance to the 3rd level. It originates from the same source of those restrictive spells, so it won't trigger them. I didn't expect you could do that. Where did you steal that magic art? Zuke asked curiously. Wanjud's eyes widened. Nonsense. This is a magic art of my sect. How could you say I stole it? A magic art of your sect? Zuke was surprised again. It seemed he had figured something out. Exactly, he answered proudly. This Mystery Land is the former site of our sect, which was so majestic and powerful in those years. It's a pity that, Bullshit. Buttface jumped and interrupted disdainfully. Old fart, stop your bragging. This Mystery Land already existed in ancient times. When I entered this place for the first time, you were still a suckling child. Ancient times? You are right. The patriarch of our sect established our sect in ancient times. Wanjud nodded thoughtfully. Buttface shook his head resolutely. Impossible. When I entered this place, I didn't find a sect here. Wanjud became irritated. Stop your nonsense. he shouted angrily. "How old are you? How dare you brag like this? In ancient times, you weren't even a dog hair." "Hey hey, ignorant old fart." Buttface sneered. "During ancient times, I was in the fifth reincarnation. At that time, I entered this place as the majestic and invincible Kylan." He finished aloofly as if he looked down upon the entire world. Wanjud's expression grew dark. "Little puppy, it is okay for you to say anything else, but you are not allowed to insult the Kylan patriarch of our sect." Buttface was also annoyed. "Damn, you're a dog. Your Kylan patriarch was an old dog. All the members of your sect are dogs." They bared their teeth at each other, and it seemed a fight was about to break out. Zu's gaze shifted and his lip twitched. He was shocked by a sudden idea. "Damn, I hope it's not a coincidence." The fifth reincarnation of Buttface had been in the ancient times and he had been a Kylan at that time. The patriarch of Wanjud's sect was also a Kylan. Could it be that Buttface set up that sect? At the thought of this, Zu filled with wonder. Then, he shook his head slightly. It was too absurd. After all, it was highly possible that Buttface was bragging. His words couldn't be trusted as facts. However, at this time, the speechless Liu Jingning started to stare at Wanjud in surprise as if she had just figured something out. "Senior Duan, what is the name of your sect?" she asked respectfully. Wanjud became nice again after hearing that question. Then, he proudly said, "I used to be an apprentice of the Zixia Peak, which was one of the 9 peaks of the mighty sect. My master was Shikingsuan, the peak lord of the Zixia Peak of the mighty sect." "Holy SHT, the mighty sect?" Zu's lips twitched again, for Buttface used to call himself the mighty king. But this time Buttface was a little bit puzzled. After a while, he came to himself and furiously said, "Damn, you're shameless. How dare you use my name as the name of your sect? Your Kylan patriarch was inhuman, lunatic, despicable, shameless, mean and nasty." "FCK, shut up." "Our Kylan patriarch was wise, majestic, invincible and immortal." "SHT, he was just a piece of trash man." "Bullshit, he was a myth." "Bullshit, have you seen him?" "By the time I was admitted into our sect, he had been a celestial for a long time, which could prove he was a myth." I. Celestial was nothing for me." Buttface puffed. "I can fight 100 celestials at a time." Buttface and Wanjud started to quarrel violently. Zu was totally confused by their words. He hadn't expected their fight to reveal such dumbfounding information. If they weren't lying, Buttface might have established the mighty sect in his 5th reincarnation, and he could be the patriarch of Wanjud. However, the next moment, Liu Jingning asked Wanjud another question, and it surprised Zu so badly that he almost bumped his head on the control lever of the jet fighter. "Senior Duan, I saw a torn ancient portrait. The figure in that portrait has gone beyond recognition, but the inscription said the portrait was of the Peak Lord of the Zixia Peak." "Was your master the Zixia Fairy?" Chapter 680. "You are the Kylan Patriarch." "Zixia Fairy, my god." Zu was astonished. This title was quite majestic. However, the title was not an overstatement. As a beautiful lady and the overlord of the Zixia Peak, it was quite normal for people to call her Zixia Fairy. "Exactly," Wanjud answered Liu Jingning, nodding his head. "In those years, some womanizer used to paint my master's portraits. It's only natural that some of them were passed down and are still around." Liu Jingning was shocked. With widened eyes, she asked, "Senior, is what you said in the mountain true? Is Zixia Fairy still alive?" "Of course," Wanjud said solemnly. "My master was extremely powerful. Besides the Kylan Patriarch, I only admire my master." Liu Jingning was stunned for a while. Then, she nodded her head. "It seems much of the gossip and legend in this world is true. Originally, we thought the mighty sect and Zixia Fairy were just stories. I didn't expect them to be real." "What do you mean? Could the mighty sect be fake?" Zu asked in surprise. He hadn't heard of the mighty sect before, but when a sect was really powerful, it couldn't be ignored easily, let alone be considered myth. It's not what you think. The main reason is that the overall strength of the world of cultivators declined dramatically in previous years. It seems the rules of the heavens and the earth are incomplete. Countless powerhouses in this world have died off. Many precious treasuries, magic arts, and even parts of history have disappeared in the river of time. Therefore, a fault has appeared in the world of cultivators. We have a lot of legends about ancient people and issues, but can't check their authenticity. Liu Jingning finished by shaking her head. These are just secondary causes, Wanjud said hopelessly. The point is that the mighty sect was slaughtered by its enemy. After a fierce battle, the mighty sect suffered great causalities and had to lock itself away by sealing the mountain. The mighty sect survived, but it was locked in this mystery land. It has been gradually forgotten by the world. As expected, this sect was too weak. Buttface ridiculed immediately. Wanjud snorted coldly and glanced at Buttface. Little dog, don't be so cocky. In those years, the mighty sect was one of the overlords in the world of cultivators. It was immeasurably more powerful than the Zhang family and the Gong family. In front of the mighty sect, the Zhang family is an ant. But your sect was still slaughtered by others. Buttface replied, FCK. Wanjud cursed in anger. Having nothing to retort, Liu Jingning also fell silent. Although she was also quite curious about what had happened. The mighty sect existed in such an ancient period she knew almost nothing about it. She even didn't know what to ask, and it would be quite embarrassing to ask Wanjud to tell the story again. Zhu Ke was even more curious about the identity of Buttface, so he asked, when your sect was slaughtered, why didn't your Kylin patriarch come to help? Hell, are you stupid? When our sect was slaughtered, the sect leader of the mighty sect was the 68th generation successor. The Kylin patriarch had been gone from this world for a long time already. How could he appear to help? Wanjud asked, rolling his eyes. Zhu Ke smirked. Is it possible that instead of leaving this world as a celestial, your Kylin patriarch has been reincarnated? Reincarnated? Are you kidding? According to the records of our sect, the Kylin patriarch was invincible in the world. As such a powerful cultivator, why would he be reincarnated? Wanjud replied proudly. Liu Jingning said, Senior Duan, I remember the Kylin patriarch being mentioned in an ancient book. However, the description in that book said that Kylin patriarch had offended too many people, so he disappeared after being hunted down. Nonsense. This is just a slander from someone who envied our Kylin patriarch. Wanjud said diffidently as his eyelids twitched. It seemed he had also heard this, but he didn't want to accept it. Zhu Ke's heart hitched. If this was true, it might prove that Buttface was Kylin patriarch, for he could always offend others with his mean words. Boom. At this moment, the cabin vibrated strenuously. The jet fighter had passed through the upflowing waterfall along the light bridge and abruptly rammed into a barrier. The next moment, the scene in front of them completely changed. Countless gigantic mountains appeared. Numerous collapsed houses stood in the mountains, which could prove that a sect used to exist in this area. Here is the third layer. This used to be the place of the mighty sect. It's a pity that their things remain, but the men are no more. Wanjud sighed depressingly. Buttface's eyes widened. Damn, how could this be? He asked in disbelief. When I came here last time, this place was totally different. Your Kylin patriarch isn't Shol. How could he ruin such a good place with beautiful rivers and grand mountains? After saying that, Buttface released a heart-wrenching scream. FCK. He shouted, the mighty sect is just a bunch of conscienceless robbers. I found that treasure first. How dare you dig it by yourself? Buttface pointed at a heap of rubbles in the distance. This place was his reason for entering the mystery land with positivity. He remembered finding treasure in this place and had never forgotten about it. He just couldn't accept the fact that it had turned to ruins. Zhu Ke's lip twitched as a hypothesis entered in his mind. It was highly possible that Buttface had found treasure in this area, so he had decided to occupy this place by establishing a sect. Later, he offended a lot of people, who started hunting him down. Even the sect he established was implicated. According to his style, he wouldn't come back after running away from here. So he chose reincarnation. Buttface once said he lost more memories during each reincarnation. Maybe he only remembered coming to this area but forgot his later actions. Maybe the treasure was gone by his own doing. Bullshit. That treasury was discovered by our Kylan Patriarch, who listed it as the forbidden area of the mighty sect. Only he could enter the treasury. What? Wait. How did you know there was a treasury here? In the middle of his explanation, Wanjud realized something was wrong and stared at Buttface in surprise. Buttface angrily spat. Of course I know about it. I discovered this place first. I just couldn't open it, so I left temporarily. I didn't expect your Kylan Patriarch to rob my fortune and treasury so shamelessly. Bullshit. Watch your mouth. Our Kylan Patriarch was wise, majestic and invincible. Wanjud shouted angrily. Buttface yelled, your Kylan Patriarch was a dumb SS. Enough, Buttface, stop it. Zuke couldn't take it anymore, so he stopped Buttface. He face-bombed, hiding the wry smile on his face. With an unconvinced expression, Buttface put his two paws on his hip and proudly said, no, I just want to say that the Kylan Patriarch was a big dumb SS. The Kylan Patriarch was a mean beast. The Kylan Patriarch was a shameless pervert. He deserved to be hunted down by others. Okay, continue as long as you're happy. Zuke shrugged helplessly. But I want to tell you something. It's possible that you're the Kylan Patriarch. Chapter 681. Go, Buttface. Buttface was stunned. What did you say? His expression was cute but a little bit stupid. Wanjud and Liu Jingning were also shocked and didn't know the meaning of Zuke's words. Is Buttface the Kylan Patriarch? How? Could this be? All of them were totally confused by Zuke's words. Young man, watch your mouth. The Kylan Patriarch represents our mighty sect. You can't insult him like this. Wanjud jumped up and shouted after coming to himself. Buttface became annoyed. What do you mean, old fart? He asked angrily. How could I insult your stupid sect? Everything about you could be deemed a humiliation of our sect, including your name, your body, your words and your behavior. Wanjud retorted without hesitation. Damn it, I am really angry now. Little brat, don't stop me. Let me kick this old fart to death. Buttface, who looked quite tough, was about to put up a desperate fight against Wanjud. Zuke shrugged. I won't stop you. Why? Won't you stop me? You said not to. Damn, you're bullying a wolf. That's enough. Liu Jingning, who couldn't watch it anymore, stopped their farce at last. Then, she turned to Zuke and asked, Little Quack, was that a joke or are you serious? Liu Jingning asked seriously. She was very smart and could tell when Zuke was kidding. Therefore, she was curious why Zuke had said this. Wanjud also fixed his eyes on Zuke. After all, he used to be an apprentice of the mighty sect, and he still cherished their reputation. Zuke landed the jet fighter calmly. Then, he leaned on the pilot chair and put on a pair of black-framed glasses and a red bow tie. After that, he said, I, Conan of the Exploding Heavens faction, never tell jokes. Buttface, what? Buttface's patience had run out. Where is the tape recorder I gave you? Play the BGM now. Which song should I play? Detective Conan, I've selected the song. You just need to press the play button. Liu Jingning and Wanjud stared at him in silence. Click. When Buttface pressed the play button of the tape recorder, the BGM played a saxophone tune which Zuke had heard many times in his childhood. The elated and exciting melody made Zuke get right into the moment. Buttface was also touched by the melody and was almost about to dance with the music. Liu Jingning and Wanjud, on the other hand, were quite speechless about this scene. At this time, Zuke started to talk about the main point seriously. Actually, this issue was quite clear from the very beginning. It is quite possible that Buttface is that Kylan Patriarch. My reasoning rests on Buttface's miraculous fate. He said he is the descendant of the ancient magic dragon, and that after 9 reincarnations, he will become a real ancient magic dragon for his final form. Although I wasn't sure whether his words were true or not, I have concluded that what he said might be true after several years' observation. The ancient magic dragon? Wanjud interrupted. Are you kidding? That is totally absurd. Moreover, if he is the so-called ancient magic dragon, how could he be related to the Kylan patriarch of our mighty sect? Zhu Ke smiled slightly. In the BGM of Detective Conan, his smile was quite wise. Then, he said calmly, old beggar, if I'm not wrong, your Kylan patriarch was not a real Kylan, right? It's just like how Buttface calls himself a wolf but everyone else says he's dog. FCK, little brat, you're lying through your teeth. How don't I look like a wolf? Buttface barked. However, Zhu Ke's words stunned Wanjud, who was dumbfounded and had nothing to say. According to his knowledge, an apprentice of his sect was cleaning in the library when he found an old portrait. It seemed the portrait was an arrest warrant for the Kylan patriarch. However, the Kylan patriarch in the portrait didn't look like a Kylan but more like a Tigan. Buttface changes into a different form with each reincarnation, and he loses almost all his memories. He can only remember a little bit about his past life. Just now he kept saying he used to live here during his 5th reincarnation as a Kylan. When he entered this place, he found a treasure vault here. At that time, there was no sect here, so, Zhu Ke spoke firmly as if he was convinced this was the truth. Then, he pointed at Buttface with wise light shining in his eyes. So, in summary, the murderer is, He hesitated. No, in summary, it is highly possible that Buttface is the Kylan patriarch. His words dropped the entire cockpit into silence. Wanjud and Liu Jingning were totally shocked. Buttface, whose mouth and eyes widened, looked once again like an emoji pack. Wanjud shook his head. That's impossible, he said after coming to himself. I've never heard of the ancient magic dragon, let alone the 9 reincarnations. Even if this is a real story, it can't prove this stupid dog was a Kylan in those years. If Buttface proved to be the patriarch of the mighty sect, he would kill himself by jumping into the upflowing sea. It was too humiliating. Old fart, stop your nonsense. As a mighty cultivator, how could I act as the leader of a pathetic sect in those years? Zhu Ke smiled as he stood up to open the cabin door. Then, he pointed at the ruins not far away. Old beggar, you said the Kylan patriarch set up restrictive spells in that treasure vault, and nobody could enter it except for the Kylan patriarch himself, right? We could ask Buttface to try. Wow, that's right. Wanjud's eyes lit up. He stood and slapped his thighs. Only one with that specific bloodline could enter without being attacked by the restrictive spells. One couldn't change his bloodline even through a reincarnation. Little dog, if you aren't a coward, you should go there and try to enter. I just don't believe you have experienced the reincarnation. No. Buttface shouted as he turned around and prepared to escape. You have to go. It's quite important to prove your identity. Maybe you left something good in the vault in those years. Zhu Ke summoned his Taoist body to capture Buttface. Young man, mind your words. This stupid dog is too arrogant. I will throw him into the restrictive spells so that he will get some punishment. Except for the Kylan patriarch, anyone who enters that area will be attacked by lightning before being driven out. Wanjud sneered as he also started to chase Buttface. Buttface howled in panic. Don't do anything stupid. I will never go to that place. FCK, little brat, how dare you betray me? I've taken care of you for so long and now you bite the hand that feeds you. Damn. He howled. Wanjud, you're an old bastard. If you come any closer, I will kick you to death. Ouch. Ouch, ouch. It hurts. Let me go. The entire cockpit filled with Buttface's hysterical screams, which were quite noisy. Finally, Zhu Ke asked the Taoist body to prevent Buttface from running around with the collar magic art. Then, they managed to capture him. Zhu Ke knew clearly why Buttface was so terrified. Apparently, he also didn't believe he was the Kylan patriarch. Therefore, he was afraid of getting hurt after being thrown into the restrictive spells. However, Zhu Ke still decided to try. Lightning wouldn't hurt Buttface because of his extremely strong physique. More importantly, Zuke was quite curious about Buttface's identity. It would be a fun story if Buttface was a reincarnation of the Kylan Patriarch. Maybe he would really one day become an ancient magic dragon. That's enough. Stop your howling. You can't die. Zuke's Taoist body grabbed Buttface and dashed toward the treasure vault in the ruins. Liu Jingning and Wanjud followed. Buttface stopped struggling and looked at Zuke seriously. Little brat. Let me go. I have something urgent to deal with. For real. I remember I have an urgent issue to attend. I hereby guarantee with my wolfality that I will come back and destroy that stupid restrictive spell after finishing my business. Tell me your urgent issue. Zuke said with a smirk, easily seeing through Buttface's lie. He asked the Taoist body to keep moving toward the ruins with Buttface. Buttface failed to find an excuse. When they were in front of the treasure vault's restrictive spell, Buttface freaked out and shouted, I am going to poop. Really? Zuke's Taoist body stopped abruptly. Buttface's eyes lit up and he started nodding furiously. Yes, okay, you can do that in there. Zuke's Taoist body threw Buttface into the restrictive spell of the treasure vault. Chapter 682, Buttface, you've changed. Buttface's hysterical scream echoed throughout the open and spacious mountain, although Zuke was standing outside the restrictive spell. After throwing Buttface inside, he put most of his soul's strength into his Taoist body. Once Buttface was endangered, he would ask the Taoist body to take him out immediately. Hey, don't worry, this restrictive spell won't kill people. Wanjud said with a proud smile after noticing Zuke's expression change. When the mighty sect had been in great danger, all the members of the sect, including the apprentices, pets, and even the peak lords and elders, tried to enter the treasure vault. They tried to find out if there was a descendant of the Kylan Patriarch among them who could enter to find the precious items. These would have been able to assist the Might sect in turning around their desperate situation. However, none of them managed to enter the treasure vault. All of them were blackened by the lightning stroke before being driven out by the restrictive spells. Although the situation was chaotic, none of them had been killed by the restrictive spells. Apparently, the restrictive spells were non-fatal. Just because it won't kill people, Zuke said helplessly, it doesn't mean that it won't kill dogs. He shrugged. Damn, young man, are you nuts? I mean the restrictive spells won't kill any living creatures. Wanjud spat. Calm down. Actually, I am inclined to believe Buttface is the patriarch of your mighty sect. Zuke said with a smile. Wanjud's face darkened and he was about to curse him. Rumble. Just at this moment, a large noise came from the ruins and interrupted their conversation. They turned to the source of the noise and found countless crushed stones and dirt on the ground flying up slowly to restore the original appearance of the buildings bit by bit as if time was flowing backward. The barrier of the entire restrictive spell became dazzling. It seemed something abnormal was happening. Wanjud's jaw dropped. How could this be? Zuke also became quite serious, but he said nothing. After all, he had believed the possibility of Buttface entering the treasure vault was very high, for it was highly possible that Buttface was the Kylan Patriarch. Now the restrictive spells of the treasure vault weren't stopping Buttface. On the contrary, something miraculous was happening in it, which could prove Buttface was really the Kylan Patriarch of the mighty sect. Howl. At this time, Buttface's howl came in from the ruins. It sounded quite content. I feel I am in the heaven. I am full of power. Buttface shouted excitedly. The original appearance of the buildings had almost been restored, and an enormous stone arch door was looming in front of them. The dazzling barrier of the restrictive spells was dimming as if its power was being sucked out. Rumble. The next moment, the restrictive spells exploded in a blast of powerful energy and the magnificent momentum of the blast swept out. The buildings, which were nearly restored, crumbled again. The destruction of the place was even more absolute now. The broken stones had been crushed to powder and vanished. The broken stones and the restrictive spells disappeared at the same time. A giant pit appeared in the ground, which was a passage with stairs leading to the underground area. Holy SHT, this is so refreshing and pleasant. Buttface's excited voice came from underground again. Wanjud shouted, little dog, Don't touch what belongs to the Kylan Patriarch. After saying that, Wanjud turned himself into a black shadow and dashed towards the underground area. What the dot? Liu Jingning, who was standing beside Zhu Ke, was shocked by Wanjud's move after coming to herself. It seems Buttface was not bragging. His reincarnation story is real. Zhu Ke said with a wry smile. He was quite sure that Buttface could really be the descendant of the ancient magic dragon, who needed many reincarnations to finish his transformation. But how could this be possible? She asked in confusion. If he is the Kylan Patriarch, his strength must be extraordinary. I guess he should at least be able to reach the Great Vehicle stage, which is one step away from becoming immortal. Why does he need to reincarnate? I don't know why either. Even Buttface has forgotten that. I guess he is not naturally intelligent. Forget it. Let's go down and have a look. Maybe he has remembered something. Zhu Ke stepped toward the entrance of the treasure vault. Liu Jingning also stepped forward, closely following Zhu Ke without asking more questions. However, when they reached the entrance and were about to descend, an exclamation came from the bottom. The dot. Kylan Patriarch, holy SHT. How could this be? Wanjud's terrified voice, which was a little bit distorted, floated up to them. HMPH, why don't you kowtow to me after seeing me? A deafening voice came from the bottom. No, little dog. What did you do? Why are you pretending to be the Kylan Patriarch? Watch your mouth. As an apprentice of the mighty sect, how dare you disrespect me? Are you going to dishonor your master and ruin your patriarch? Little dog, stop pretending. Our Kylan Patriarch will never be as wretched as you. According to the description in the ancient books, the Kylan Patriarch was majestic, extraordinary, and invincible. He could never look like you. What did you do? HMPH, how dare you doubt my identity? Damn, I'm out. I don't care whether you are the Kylan Patriarch or not. I was kicked out of the mighty sect. I am no longer their apprentice, so why should I obey you? After that, the sound of wind came from the passage. Wanjud appeared ready to dash out. Zhu Ke made eye contact with Liu Jingning. Then, they went downstairs and tried to stop Wanjud. However, he didn't slow down a bit. He passed through the gap between Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning as he walked forward angrily with his hands behind his back. A moment later, he appeared on the ground surface. His rapid bodily movement proved his extraordinary strength. But what happened down there that terrified Wanjud? Has Buttface really become the Kylan Patriarch? Zhu Ke saw Wanjud was in a bad mood, so he didn't want to waste his time asking questions. He went downstairs with his Taoist body and Liu Jingning. After reaching the bottom, they found a spacious underground palace. At the center of the underground palace, a ferocious monster that looked like the combination of a tiger and a lion was gobbling up elixirs on the ground. Holy SHT! Zhu Ke's eyes widened. According to its seating posture, that was definitely Buttface, but his appearance was incredibly different. Did he evolve after entering here? Almost at the same time, the monster also saw Zhu Ke. His eyes lit up and it stood abruptly. Then, he puffed out his chest and angrily shouted, "Who are you? How dare the two ants trespass in my underground palace?" Buttface, Zhu Ke said. "Watch your mouth. I am the Kylan Patriarch. There is no Buttface here." The monster yelled. Zhu Ke smiled as he shook his head. Buttface, stop pretending. You are really bad at acting. You didn't even remove the collar from your neck. How could you pretend to be a monster? The monster was stunned a bit. Then, he rolled his eyes and shouted furiously, "Who did that? Who put the collar on my neck? Come here and duel me." Zhu Ke sighed and shook his head in disappointment. Buttface, you've changed. You've really changed. How could the majestic and invincible Buttface become a cowardly dog? Buttface was stunned and dumbfounded for a while. After that, he smiled stupidly. "Awesome, little brat. What did you say just now? The majestic and invincible Buttface, right? Say it again please." "Stop your nonsense." Taoist body, beat him up. Zhu Ke waved his hand as his Taoist body turned into a black shadow and dashed toward Buttface. Chapter 683, Just Tremble. Earthians. A familiar howl echoed in the underground palace again. The Taoist body activated the collar. Buttface, who had turned himself into the Kylan Patriarch, lied down on his stomach. However, Zuke had figured out that although Buttface had changed his form and enhanced his strength, his personality had not changed. He was still good at bragging, but he was also still a cowardly dog deep in his heart. "It hurts," he howled. Brother K, please let me go." Buttface admitted his defeat, patting the floor. You've changed back? Are you going to be arrogant? Are you going to act tough?" Zuke asked with a smile. Buttface shook his head with a long face. "No, I will stop acting tough." "Damn." "After eating the blood essences, I still couldn't defeat you." After that, light glowed from his body and a red halo gushed out. Then, his body shrank quickly and his glossy black and white fur reappeared with his stupid dog head. It seemed he was just a large version of a husky. "Blood essences? What happened?" Zuke was surprised by Buttface's reply. Buttface was quite proud. A mean smile crossed his face. "When I entered this area, I found a sacrificial altar with 10 drops of Kylan blood essences. It felt like my blood had some kind of connection with the blood essences, so I gulped all of them down. I didn't expect them to store perfectly in my donjon. Therefore, I chose to explode one blood essence. Then, my form was changed." Buttface laughed in satisfaction. "The funniest part is that when Wanjud saw my majestic form, he was so scared that he collapsed." "So, it seems like you can regain the form of your previous life by activating the blood essence, right?" Zuke asked curiously. Buttface shook his head in confusion. "I don't know either. Anyway, after exploding one drop of the blood essence, I could regain the form and strength from my 5th life. It's a pity that the time duration was a bit short." "Wait, no, it seems some strength remained in my body." Zuke nodded, for he had summarized the situation well. Now the only thing he could confirm was that Buttface had been the Kylan Patriarch during his 5th life. He had established the mighty sect. "Wait, it appears I really am the Kylan Patriarch, right?" "Holy SHT!" Buttface exclaimed when he finally figured it out. Zuke rolled his eyes and shook his head. After all, the stupidity of Buttface was hardly news to him. Liu Jingning was shocked. Then, she was amused by Buttface's foolishness and started to smirk. "Buttface, besides this, could you remember something useful?" Zuke wanted to know more details. Buttface's memory was like an unexplored vault. Anything he remembered could be a great opportunity. However, Buttface shook his head. "I can't remember anything, but one thing I am quite sure of is that the spiritual chi in this underground palace is very intense, which is quite suitable for your secluded cultivation. However, the density of spiritual chi in this area is a little bit too high. Your body may explode because you can't absorb so much spiritual chi." "The spiritual chi." Zuke trailed off as he realized. After entering the underground palace, he found the spiritual chi so magnificent that it was almost as intensive as the spiritual chi in the elixir plantation of the Zizai Kinksuan. Therefore, this underground palace was really an ideal place for secluded cultivation. As for his body possibly exploding because of the over-intensive spiritual chi, Zuke was not worried about it. His current physique was strong enough to absorb as much spiritual chi he could. "I've made up my mind to perform secluded cultivation in this area for 2 years. I will do my best to reach the void training stage before the Mystery Land closes," Zuke said confidently. The intensive spiritual chi and the spirit stones he had collected could ensure he would reach the void training stage within 2 years. Hearing that, Liu Jingning and Buttface were stunned. "Reach the void training stage in 2 years? Are you kidding?" "Little Quack, don't be so reckless. You can't be nervous for success in cultivation," Liu Jingning reminded him seriously. Even though it was Zuke's recultivation, it would still be impossible for him to reach the void training stage within 2 years. Liu Jingning did believe, however, that Zuke could make full use of this opportunity to solidify his foundation and break all his bottlenecks firmly and steadily. In this way, Zuke's future achievements would be more remarkable. Buttface also shook his head. "Little brat, I know your cultivation speed has been amazing. However, you just reached the infant transformation stage when you destroyed your cultivation. How could you reach the void training stage within 2 years? Don't be silly. Zuke spoke with a calm smile. Apparently, you know nothing about my gift. As a rare genius, I could reach the void training stage within 6 months if I didn't want to solidify my foundation. I don't want to do that because I am a man who is handsome and steady. What he said was true. He had 5 celestial spiritual roots. Together with the amazing cultivation speed of the ancient 5 elemental arts, 6 months would be enough for him to reach the void training stage if he only absorbed spiritual chi from the spirit stones he had. But he knew that he had to perform cultivation on his own strength if he couldn't accumulate experience by killing more powerhouses in the future. Therefore, he had to solidify his foundation. 2 years would definitely be long enough for Zuke. Liu Jingning still tried to persuade Zuke, however, her efforts were in vain. She had to shake her head helplessly at last. Zuke didn't waste his time. He took out millions of best-grade spirit stones and set up a soul-gathering array in the underground palace, which gathered up all the spiritual chi in an area covering tens of thousands of square miles. After that, he flipped his finger to store a strand of soul strength in his Taoist body. Then, he sat on the ground with his legs crossed and started his secluded cultivation. Liu Jingning was shocked as Zuke had set up such a big soul-gathering array, which was composed of best-grade spirit stones. In such a short time, the spiritual chi in the underground palace was extremely intensive. After pondering a bit, she also sat beside Zuke with her legs crossed. She decided to protect Zuke from any accidents which might endanger him. And she also started her cultivation. Holy SHT, are you going to start a paired cultivation? I will leave you alone for it is too embarrassing from me. Buttface couldn't sit still as he saw Zuke and Liu Jingning start their cultivation. After all, he was not a mano number. He was a dog who could not keep still. Whoosh! Buttface dashed out of the underground palace, and his howling could still vaguely be heard. Little duh. Why are you in a daze? Come here and kowtow to me now. Damn, stop running. Get a footbath ready for your patriarch now. Zuke completely entered into his cultivation. This was his genuine cultivation after knowing his Taoist connotation in advance. When he gave a play of the ancient 5 elemental arts in his body, each breath of spiritual chi turned into scenes of the past in his brain like dreams. It seemed he was reviewing his life. Memories in his past life on Earth displayed like a slideshow in his brain. When his parents passed away, he was only 10. After that, he lived with his younger sister. They suffered a lot and were looked down upon. At last, they managed to go to school with the occasional aid of their relatives and the community. Zuke was always an ace student in school. When he was 20, he was admitted by the best university in Yanjing as the #1 student in the province where he was born. After that, he turned the campus belle of that university into his girlfriend. It was a pity that she broke up with him in less than half a year. 1 week later, Zuke was hit by a speeding car on his way back to the university after finishing the night shift of his part-time job. Then, he crossed over to this world. He had nothing to worry about when he woke up in this world. He was quite proud of his younger sister. When she was a freshman in her high school, she opened an online shop with her friend. They made a lot of money through the online businesses, which didn't influence their schoolwork. Therefore, she was more powerful than Zuke in egg and IQ. Even Zuke's tuition and living expenses were paid by his younger sister. Zuke didn't want to accept her offer until she left him a message. Brother, you've taken care of me for so long, now it's finally my turn to take care of you. Please don't reject the money I offered for your tuition and living expenses, for it is my birthday wish. At the thought of this, Zuke opened his eyes abruptly and the secluded cultivation stopped. Fi. Zuke shouted the name of his younger sister as if he had just woken from a nightmare. He thought he had nothing to concern about and could forget everything that had happened on Earth. He could enjoy his life in the world of cultivators. However, during this cultivation, he discovered many problems. Why had the school belle break up with him suddenly? At that time, they loved each other dearly. She had suddenly and resolutely left him after saying goodbye. Zuke was confused and thought he had done something wrong. However, The school bell just ignored all his phone calls and short messages after that. 1 week later, when he finally got time to ask her the detailed reason, he was killed in a traffic accident. As an interested party, Zhu Ke was quite confused and didn't know what happened. He thought the school bell broke up with him because he did something wrong. He thought he would get her back by coaxing her. Now, as an onlooker, he realized something was wrong after reviewing his memories. Why did the school bell change her attitude abruptly? Why was he killed by a car when he was walking along a spacious street? The most critical point of this issue was his younger sister. Zhu Ke remembered during the week he broke up with the school bell, his younger sister hadn't contacted him. She didn't even answer his phone calls, which was quite unusual. His younger sister would normally call him 3 to 4 times a week. It had almost become habit. Zhu Ke hadn't thought about it though because of the breakup and his part-time job. Considering the car accident, Zhu Ke started to become more and more shocked and paranoid and broke cold sweat. His face also darkened. He started to believe that his death had been arranged by someone deliberately, someone who might have also attacked his younger sister. Who could that be? Several fuzzy faces surfaced in his mind. Some were rich boys who used to chase his younger sister with evil intentions. Some were his rivals in love who also wanted to chase the school bell. Many of them were kids of influential officials. It would be easy for these people to arrange an accidental death for him with their background and resources. But now, Zhu Ke could only figure out something was wrong. He couldn't find out who the prime culprit was. Little Quack. What happened? Liu Jingning, who was sitting beside him, opened her beautiful eyes and looked at Zhu Ke with concern. Zhu Ke let out a sigh of relief and shook his head slightly. Nothing. Just some old memories. He knew clearly that the Taoist connotation had been added to his cultivation. The other cultivators started to use their Taoist connotation when they reached the infant transformation stage or the void training stage. He started to cultivate with his Taoist connotation from zero. The Tao he pursued was to do whatever he wanted and act tough. Remembering what had happened before was just the first step of the Taoist connotation. Anything which could disturb him would interrupt his cultivation. However, Zhu Ke's self-control was extremely powerful now. After letting out a solid breath, Zhu Ke had calmed down from all the annoyances of his past life. No matter how anxious he was, he could do nothing now. It was useless to overthink that. He could return to the earth once he was powerful enough to obtain the space-breaking spell. After that, he could find out the truth and kill those evil guys. Are you all right? Liu Jingning asked with concern. Her eyes were full of kindness and melancholy. It's okay. I've reached the summit of the golden core stage. Zhu Ke grinned. 2 months have passed. Your cultivation speed is really amazing. Are you sure there is no risk? Zhu Ke smiled and his eyes were full of confidence. I dare say nobody in this world could have a more solid foundation than mine. This time my Tao and my cultivation are perfect. He could sense his current strength was incredibly powerful. He used to be able to kill a cultivator at the original infant stage when he was at the golden core stage because he had those powerful magic arts and the assistance of the people killing book and the people killing sword. Now, as a cultivator at the golden core stage, he felt he could punch a cultivator at the original infant stage to death. He could kill cultivators who were 1 stage higher than him easily. With the assistance of the people killing book and the people killing sword, he could even fight against cultivators at level 1 of the infant transformation stage. His strength was absolutely unprecedented in the world of cultivators. Don't worry, I'm okay. I will continue my cultivation. He closed his eyes and entered the status of cultivation again. This time, he calmed down completely as he made a decision. Once he finished his secluded cultivation, he would save Zhang Hongyan. Then, he would plan his return to the Earth. After all, the space-breaking spell and its refinery method were not exclusive to the system. Since Wanjud knew the space-breaking spell, it meant that it existed in this world. If he could find the refinery method in advance, he wouldn't need to wait until he upgraded the system to version 10.0. Plenty of time and acting tough points could be saved. Just tremble, Earthlings. Zhu Ke of the Exploding Heavens faction will be back soon. Chapter 684. The reappearance of the patriarchs. 1 year went by quickly. For cultivators, 1 year was the blink of an eye during cultivation, especially for powerhouses waiting outside the entrance of the Mystery Land. Sitting in their camps with their legs crossed, they waited for the return of the members of their sects and for Zuke to fall into the trap himself. The year had indeed gone by quickly. However, for cultivators who hadn't entered their cultivation status, a lot of things had happened the past year, especially the past few days, for many people had heard some stunning news, which had aroused much discussion. I've heard that the Patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe has awoken. He is on his way to this mystery land. Are you kidding? Is it really necessary to startle those patriarchs to capture Zuke? No. It's not because of Zuke. Apparently heaven and earth are about to change drastically. Many sleeping patriarchs have been inexplicably awaking. The Heaven Horn Ox tribe has 4 generations of patriarchs, and the youngest one has just woken up. What? Heaven and earth will change drastically? Could it be misfortune is coming? It's hard to say. It depends on whether these patriarchs are willing to tell us the truth or give us some clues. But the Patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe is the first who woke up. Now he is on his way to this place. It is said that he will kill Zuke personally no matter whether Wanjid agrees or not. Holy SHT. Could he really be so cruel? Nonsense. I heard that Naiu Bashan, who was killed by Zuke in the upflowing sea, was the only descendant of that patriarch. That means Zuke ended that patriarch's bloodline, so there will be a good fight soon. I guess that patriarch is at least at level 5 of the form synthesis stage. After hundreds of years of sleeping, he should have reached level 6 of the form synthesis stage. According to Wanjid's style, he won't confront the entire Heaven Horn Ox tribe for Zuke. Many people discussed this topic. Some took pleasure in Zuke's misfortune, while some shook their heads indifferently. There was also a small amount of people who felt sorry for Zuke. People of the Sky Incense Valley chose to stay in that place. They planned to see what would happen to Zuke at last. After hearing the upcoming arrival of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe's patriarch, they sighed and exclaimed in their hearts that this time Zuke was in deep trouble and would burn himself after stirring up a fire. However, the next day, someone exclaimed in surprise again outside the Mystery Land. Haha, I've got breaking news from the north part of the South Continent. The Patriarch of the Prevailing Wind Pavilion awoke. He will also come here to kill Zuke. I've also got news from the East Continent. The patriarchs of the Zhang family, the Gong family, the Bei family and many other sects are awakening. Apparently most of those sects have been cheated by Zuke. Their patriarchs are planning to work together to kill Zuke. My gosh, the eminent monk of the Dragon Subduing Temple in the West Desert, who has been chanting scriptures on the scripture tower for almost 1,000 years, stopped his chanting and left the tower today. It is said that he is going to convert Zuke to Buddhism. The patriarch of the Zhou family in the North Sea also woke up. He will also come here to seek revenge for his descendants. It is said that the Zhou family also invited powerhouses of the Rock tribe. Maybe members of the Rock tribe will also come here. Holy shit, you gotta be kidding me. This doesn't make sense. Is it really necessary to startle so many patriarchs just for Zuke? Nonsense, actually. Everyone knows those patriarchs are aiming for the living holy tree which has been uprooted by Zuke. Damn, is this hearsay for real? Did he uproot the living holy tree on the first island? I suppose so. It is the living holy tree. No wonder so many patriarchs are so eager to come here. It seems even Wanjid is not able to protect that guy anymore. Several days later, as the discussion became more and more heated, the Patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe arrived at last. With silvery hairs on his head, he looked old but no sign of a wrinkle could be found on his face. 2 horns were giving off chilliness on his head. Some cultivators at lower stages lowered their heads first. They didn't dare to see those horns, otherwise, their eyes might be hurt by the chilliness giving off from the horns. After the arrival of that patriarch, he didn't enter the Mystery Land but chose to sit on the top of a hill in the distance to refresh his spirit by closing his eyes speechlessly. The next day, the Patriarch of the Prevailing Wind Pavilion also arrived. Just like the Patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe, He also said nothing but sat on a hill. There was even no communication between the two patriarchs. Apparently, they planned to stay here until the closing of the Mystery Land. When Zuke showed up, they would kill Zuke instantly. Over the next few days, patriarchs of the other big families and sects also arrived. The situation was becoming more and more scary. Many small sects had to fall back to the place which was hundreds of miles away from the entrance of the Mystery Land. Nobody forced them to do so, because they were too weak to withstand the formless pressure of those patriarchs. They felt they would be wounded by those suffocating pressure if they continued to stay there. More and more people were gathering in this place in these days. Someone planned to enjoy the fun. Someone came here to pay respects to these legendary patriarchs who were the most powerful cultivators of the four continents. They are cultivators at the form synthesis stage. They are so powerful as expected. We can't approach them when they are just sitting there without using any magic art or pressure. This is the strength of the Taoist connotation. They have formed their Taoist connotation at their stages, which is so formidable. As the saying goes, don't attempt to work with people whose Tao is different with yours. If our Tao is different with theirs, our Tao might be eliminated by their Taoist connotation as we approach them. After that, we will be waste people in the rest of our lives. Many people were exclaiming, including a lot of powerhouses at the void training stage whose eyes were filled with expectation, for they were so close to the form synthesis stage. In future, they might also reach that stage and become one of the Taoist overlords in this world as their Taoist connotations took shape. In front of patriarchs at the form synthesis stage, Zuke's protectors couldn't protect him anymore. No matter how powerful they are, he has been turned into a waste person. His protectors are just like him who only has powerful magic arts but no Taoist connotation. Maybe all members of the Exploding Heavens faction are like this. All of them are just half-waste people. Exactly. After all, the Taoist connotation is the key point of cultivation. The goal for our cultivation is to cultivate our Tao. This is just like the saying of the Buddhism, the body is the ship. The Taoist connotation is the sail. The combination of body and Taoist connotation could help us to cross the sea of suffering and reach the other shore of salvation. The onlookers were talking about the Tao as they thought Zuke was doomed and he could never turn the tide this time. At the same time, in the third level of the Mystery Land, two figures were sitting with their legs crossed in the underground palace. In the underground palace, which was full of magnificent spiritual chi, Liu Jingning had been cultivating for 1 year. Her strength was enhanced quickly. She was about to realize breakthrough in level 9 of the Void Training stage. The summit of the level 10 of the Void Training stage was just a stone's throw away from her. This was the greatest reward she gained for so long a time. However, the biggest winner should be Zuke, who was sitting beside her. Zuke had been soaking in the cultivation stage and never woken up for a whole year. His long hair, which was black and shiny, had reached the ground. His face was also changed a bit as he looked more like his appearance in his past life. His skin was so white and smooth that even ladies would be jealous of. Together with his pink-white skin, he had been turned into a 100% handsome man. Liu Jingning opened her beautiful eyes and looked at Zuke subconsciously. Then, she was shocked. After 1 year, Zuke had returned to the summit of the infant transformation stage just like his stage before his self-destruction of cultivation. It was so difficult for her to understand. However, the fact was just in front of her and she had to believe it. More importantly, she could clearly sense Zuke was even more powerful than before, for his foundation was very firm and steady. The magnificent Taoist connotation gushing out from Zuke's body was powerful and gentle. Sitting beside him, Liu Jingning felt so soothing, as if she was sitting beside a vast sea which contained thousands of rivers. She could even yield twice the result with half the effort in her cultivation. Undoubtedly, she believed Zuke was the most powerful sovereign at the infant transformation stage she had met in her life. She even felt Zuke was strong enough to have a fight with her. A cultivator at the summit of the infant transformation stage could challenge a cultivator at the summit of the void training stage. It was just a joke before, but Zuke had realized it. Within 1 year, you have reached this stage. Are you going to realize breakthrough and reach the void training stage in the coming year? Liu Jingning murmured as she fixed his beautiful eyes on Zhu Ke. However, she didn't know Zhu Ke was being trapped in a fuzzy empty world at this time. Chapter 685, Zhu Ke finished his secluded cultivation. Zhu Ke had almost lost himself in an empty area and couldn't find his way out. After being trapped for nearly a month, he started to believe it was because of his Taoist connotation. He struggled around aimlessly in this vast, vacant area with mere strands of his reasoning remaining. After wandering like this for 2 months, Zhu Ke started to become more self-aware. This place is strange. I am almost certain that it is rectangular without any form of exit. He was quite sure about the nature of this place and that it would be impossible for him to leave. Perhaps he could try to walk inwards and maybe he could find some type of outlet. After making the decision, Zhu Ke managed to reach the center of the area. He felt something inexplicable in his heart, so he sat down with his legs crossed. Then, he closed his eyes slowly as he dismissed the distracting thoughts in his mind. Since this problem was caused by his Taoist connotation, he started to reintegrate it without focusing on immortality. His powerful mind only desired a carefree life in which he could do whatever he wanted. Boom! Runes suddenly gushed out from him and covered his body like thickly dotted tadpoles. They spread all over him and flowed into the ground and air. At last, the thickly dotted, small, black characters formed neat lines of text flowing from above him to below him. Zhu Ke could see these small characters even when his eyes were tightly closed. The way of heaven is imperfect, the great Tao is impermanent. I only hope the heaven and earth can follow my will. Everyone in this world pursues immortality, the imperial throne, or the hegemony, but those are just trinkets. You may jump onto your horse and kill millions of enemies with your swords, and create a lofty mountain of white bones. However, the world will still run in its own way. Among numerous people who used to live in this world, who could be remembered forever. After all shall fade. When the heaven and earth follow my will, the supreme way of tough acting will be realized and deemed the most powerful Tao. Zhu Ke was quite surprised. This my Taoist connotation? Why do my heartfelt wishes appear here? Are they recorded in a book? He felt like a miniature person trapped in a piece of white paper. This empty area was a book page, and he was just the pen for writing down the characters. His apprehension for his Tao gushed out and flowed into the book page automatically. I get it. It's that wordless magic art. A strand of white light appeared in Zhu Ke's mind, which enlightened him abruptly. He remembered he had obtained a classless magic art without words when he had opened the big mystery gift bag. It was an ancient book for him to create a magic art himself. These days, Zhu Ke was not in the mood to create his own magic art. He hadn't expected it to appear now after trapping him for 3 months. This is interesting. Now I know how to create a magic art. It seems I have to finish this book at least partially before I can leave. After his hypothesis, Zhu Ke took a deep breath and focused on understanding his Tao, dismissing all distracting thoughts. As time passed, numerous characters flowed out from his body and spread out around him, creating many rivers of text. Another 2 months went by. The area had almost completely filled with characters. It was no longer empty and had filled with the power of heaven and earth. Zhu Ke let out a sigh of relief. Finally, I made it. He had been in this area for over 5 months and had reviewed and carved the entirety of his Taoist connotation. The area surrounding him was filled with magnificent power. Zhu Ke was exhausted as his body was almost drained of power. He could hardly resist the tiredness that pulled at him. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully creating a magic art, which has been identified as a fist art. Please name the magic art and the anonymous ancient book. Zhu Ke was surprised. A fist art? Name it. The system asked him to name to the fist art and the anonymous ancient book, which meant this ancient book had not been finished yet. He had just finished the first page. This is interesting and fun. Zhu Ke became more intrigued. The Taoist connotation he had was an unprecedented means of tough acting. He didn't expect he could create a magic card himself, which could combine with his Taoist connotation perfectly. However, what should I name it? After pondering it for a while, Zhu Ke smiled as he had found the answer. Ding! Congratulations to the host on naming the magic art successfully. The name is, How a King of Tough Acting is Born. As the system's warning tone came in, several big characters appeared on the top of the book page. The first move of How a King of Tough Acting is Born. The King of Tough Acting Fist. The King of Tough Acting Fist. It is so simple, violent, confident and graceful. From now on, if I use this move, nobody else will be more proficient than me in acting tough. Zhu Ke smiled in satisfaction. At last, he was expelled from the book page and his soul returned to his body again. His normal cultivation resumed. The entire process lasted for over half a year. After obtaining his Tao and creating his magic art, he was much more powerful than before. There is half a year left, which is enough for me to realize a breakthrough in the infant transformation stage and reach the void training stage, Zhu Ke thought. After that, he dismissed the distracting thoughts and continued to use the ancient five elements arts by focusing his attention. His body was just like a bottomless pit, absorbing the magnificent spiritual chi around him through his pores. 6 months quickly passed. Zhu Ke's long hair fell across his waist and touched the ground. His hair was spotless, black and shiny. Each individual strand dazzled like a sword. His body, with skin as soft as that of a newborn, was extremely tough. During the 6 months of secluded cultivation, his 5 celestial spiritual roots and his celestial thunder spiritual root in his Danshan absorbed spiritual chi crazily like bottomless pits. Now, the most critical time had come. Boom! Zhu Ke broke the bottleneck. All his spiritual roots reached the consummation state as he realized a breakthrough in the infant transformation stage. The pores on his body opened wide to gather all the surrounding spiritual chi. Zhu Ke opened his eyes, which were incredibly deep, as if the galaxy was rotating inside of them. He uttered a loud cry and stood from the ground abruptly. His hair floated around him. A horribly powerful momentum gushed out from his body. Liu Jingning awoke with a shock. Before she had time to say anything, a loud sound came from outside the underground palace as if it had come from heaven. Oh, no, the heavenly tribulations are coming, she said nervously. The Mystery Land is about to close soon. You can't cross your heavenly tribulations here. Zhu Ke glanced at the entrance of the underground palace and smiled faintly. Don't worry, it's just the heavenly tribulation. It won't come as long as I don't agree with it. Zhu Ke's Taoist connotation had just taken shape, and what he pursued was to follow his will. He didn't allow the heavenly tribulation to happen just yet. He would not allow heaven to go against his will. This was the horrible power of his Taoist connotation. Liu Jingning was totally terrified and didn't believe her eyes. How could such a powerful Tao exist in this world? She was almost subdued by Zhu Ke's momentum. Zhu Ke retracted his momentum and smiled after sensing Liu Jingning's panic. Let's go. It's time to go out. Let's go meet someone. Meet someone? Who? A cute little girl, Zhu Ke replied as he stepped out of the underground palace. The thunder clouds surged together with the deafening thunders in the sky above the 3rd level of the Mystery Land. However, it seemed the heavenly tribulation was still in preparation and that it would stay there forever without Zhu Ke's consent. Zhu Ke ignored the thunder clouds and continued walking. 2 years had passed. Wanjud and Buttface had disappeared long ago. The empty mountains were deadly silent. Zhu Ke found a message on a giant rock that had been left by Buttface. Buttface wrote that Wanjud was about to do something secrety, so he decided to follow him and discover what was going on. He also wrote that Zhu Ke didn't need to wait for him. What a thoughtless dog. Zhu Ke shook his head. Then, he purchased a jet fighter from the systems store and prepared to cross the upflowing sea and go to the 1st level of the Mystery Land with Liu Jingning. The world outside the Mystery Land was in an uproar. The patriarchs who had gathered outside the Mystery Land had eventually left, one after another. Over the course of the year, only the patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe motionlessly remained atop the hill. Over the past year, The patriarchs of the other big families and sects had also left for the North Sea after waking up. Nobody knew where they were heading. Their actions puzzled a lot of cultivators. The Mystery Land is about to close. People who are still in the Mystery Land will be forcibly teleported out. Why did the patriarchs leave? It's weird. Could it be the big change is really going to happen? I've heard that the Carefree building left first. Someone saw them leave the North Sea and move forward to the Infinite Sea. Not just them. The patriarchs of the big families and sects also headed in that direction. I guess they found something precious. It doesn't make sense. I heard they were going to meet and greet some big shots. What? Are there really big shots welcomed by the patriarchs of the big families and sects? Chapter 686, Break It with the Heavenly Tribulation. Within one day, Zhu Ke had crossed the upflowing sea and returned to the first level of the Mystery Land with Liu Jingning. At this time, most of the cultivators had left the Mystery Land. Only a few people still searching for opportunity and fortune remained. Now the Mystery Land was about to close. The lucky ones would be teleported out, and the unlucky ones would disappear with the Mystery Land. According to my calculation, the Mystery Land will close in 3 days. We still have time to leave. Liu Jingning said. Right. 3 days is enough. Zhu Ke nodded. He didn't want to put things off to the last minute. Therefore, he decided to enter the elixir plantation now and take Zhao route. Then, they would leave the Mystery Land immediately. However, when they arrived at that enormous mountain, Zhu Ke realized his mistake. He could previously enter as an ordinary person who could ignore the effect of the restrictive spells, but now he had finished his recultivation. After crossing his 69th heavenly tribulation, he would reach the void training stage. It was impossible for him to enter the elixir plantation. Oh no, now we have a big problem. Zhu Ke said anxiously. He had decided this was the best place for Zhao's cultivation, but he had forgotten the most critical part of this plan, how to get her out. What happened? You said we're going to get someone. Are you going to take Senior Duan's master out? Liu Jingning was surprised and didn't understand why they had returned to this mountain. Zhu Ke had told her they were going to meet a cute girl. No matter how wild her imagination was, the Zizaya fairy couldn't be deemed a cute little girl. No. Zhu Ke said with furrowed eyebrows, I refine the 9 revolutions revival fluid in the elixir plantation, which could revive an ordinary person. But I forgot I can't go inside after my recultivation. Maybe Senior Duan could solve this problem. He almost broke these restrictive spells before. Liu Jingning suggested quickly after noticing Zhu Ke's anxiety. He shook his head. It's too late. We don't know where the old beggar and Buttface are. Now we don't have enough time to find them. They only had 3 days. They would be better off leaving here to find a solution than try searching for Duanzhud aimlessly in the Mystery Land. According to Buttface's message, Duanzhud and he might have left the Mystery Land a long time ago. After considering the situation for a while, Zhu Ke stepped to the golden barrier and sent a message with a magic art. Zizaya Fairy, I am sorry to trouble you. Would you please send Zhao out? This time he was quite polite and humble, for he didn't want to annoy the Taoist nun anymore. Otherwise, things could get messy. However, after sending several messages, Zhu Ke still didn't get any response. Zhu Ke had a bad feeling. The worst possible scenario was that the Zizaya fairy hadn't woken up and couldn't receive his message. Little Quack, you just stay here and try to find a way to get inside. I'll try to find Senior Duan. Liu Jingning decided to help Zhu Ke to find Duanzhud, as she had seldom seen Zhu Ke this serious and anxious. Zhu Ke waved his hand. Don't do that. I bet he's not in the first level anymore. You can't reach the other levels within such a short period of time. It will be bad if you can't come back to this place before the closing of the Mystery Land. Then, what is your plan? We can't just wait here. Zhu Ke also hesitated. A moment later, he looked up and smiled. I've got an idea. What? Liu Jingning was surprised. Little sister, please get away from me. What are you going to do? Just get away from me, please. Be good and be obedient. Liu Jingning hesitated before slowly stepping back. After witnessing Zhu Ke perform so many amazing actions, Liu Jingning trusted him. She believed in him now, even if he stated he could break the powerful restrictive spell. However, Zhu Kai really couldn't break it. The restrictive spell was too powerful, almost as powerful as the restrictive spells outside the ancient bronze hall where the Empress was imprisoned. But Zhu Kai never followed conventional rules and regulations. If he couldn't break it himself, he would break it with external force. Let's get started. He released his magnificent pressure and aimed it toward the golden barrier. After that, he took a deep breath and tried to reach the void training stage by focusing all the spiritual energy in his body. Rumble. All at once, the sky was covered by surging thunderclouds. The entire area was as dark as midnight. Liu Jingning was shocked and said, "Are you going to cross your heavenly tribulation here?" "Exactly. Since I can't break the restrictive spells, I will have it bombarded by the heavenly tribulations." He looked up and shouted, "Come on, show me some powerful heavenly tribulations. Don't let me down." A magnificent waterfall of golden lightning rushed down at him. Zhu Kai stood very close to the golden barrier and he did nothing to prevent the golden lightning from falling on his head. Bang! With a violent explosion, Zhu Kai was wrapped in the lightning. Even the golden barrier of the mountain trembled with the explosion. Liu Jingning was stunned and didn't know what was happening. The heavenly tribulation had come down too fast. The first tribulation was a bolt of magnificent golden lightning even more powerful than the 69 heavenly tribulations of Zhang Hongyan. Will 1,000,000 celestial soldiers appear now? Boom! As Liu Jingning's brain was occupied by various wild speculations, another crash came from the sky. The second heavenly tribulation had arrived without giving Zhu Kai a break. A tremendous golden sword slashed down from the sky with suffocating momentum. Liu Jingning's eyes widened. Zhu Kai's 69 heavenly tribulations were so horrible. The tribulations were fast. The 1,000,000 celestial soldiers didn't come, but the tremendous golden swords were immediately summoned. Even more shocking was that Zhu Kai stood upright under the golden sword without flinching. In front of such a magnificent heavenly tribulation, his body was small but full of momentum, so gigantic it was as if nothing could defeat him. The tremendous golden sword slashed down at Zhu Kai's head. With clenched fists, he shouted, "The first move of how the King of Tough Acting is born. The King of Tough Acting Fist." Ding! 1,000 acting tough points have been consumed. The host's magic art, the King of Tough Acting Fist, has now been activated. Boom! A giant white fist appeared in the sky and collided with a tremendous golden sword with turbulent momentum and pressure. The sky was covered by golden light. The horrible explosion created a shockwave that rippled out in every direction. The golden barrier on the mountain trembled violently, like a canoe in a violent storm that was about to be torn apart by the waves. At the center of the explosion, Zhu Kai stood firm. His long hair floated with the wind. The explosion had failed to make a single scratch on him. Even his clothes were intact. Liu Jingning was, naturally, dumbfounded. Chapter 687. Well, I shall not die. How can this be possible? Liu Jingning could not believe what she saw. When Zhang Hongyan went through her thunder tribulation for the first time, Zhu Kai tried everything he could to withstand the power of the golden sword, but most of the time he simply ran away from it. Back then, he indeed fought against it with his whole body and his bones all were broken and he almost died. But this time, even if he was just at the highest level of the infant transformation stage, he managed to fight against the golden sword with his fists containing the magnificent Taoist connotation. Most important, Zhu Kai was not hurt at all. His fist practices are really brilliant. I have never seen this kind of Taoist connotation before. Liu Jingning murmured. Bang! Something exploded in the air. The turbulent thunderclouds were torn up ruthlessly by the energy, and all of a sudden 9 enormous golden swords appeared. Shortly after, 28 more followed, and the next minute, 64 more appeared. And soon 128 more followed again. This all happened in just a few seconds. Seeing this, Liu Jingning was so surprised that her face twisted up in confusion. The 3 times heavenly tribulation, the 6 times heavenly tribulations, and now the 4 times 1. How can these come out all together? Great! I have been waiting for this moment for such a long time. Zhu Kai laughed aloud and became very excited when seeing the mounting golden swords. All the golden swords fell together into what looked like a pyramid upside down. While they were falling, the void around was torn apart, and the outside world could be seen from time to time. "Crikey, Zhu Kai, don't!" Liu Jingning shouted. Zhu Kai had been in this situation before. At that time, he had managed to run away with the help of the divine tracking emblem. This time, however, there were more than 200 golden swords. The heavenly tribulation this time seemed not a tribulation for a cultivator of the infant transformation stage, but one for a cultivator of the form synthesis stage. Liu Jingning thought even cultivators of either the form synthesis stage or the void training stage would be destroyed in just a few seconds when facing so many golden swords. Although Zhu Kai managed to destroy one huge golden sword, now his fists seemed no longer to be working. "Little Quack, calm down, you can do this," Liu Jingning shouted. Right at this moment, Zhu Kai's surroundings were filled with infinite heavenly energy. Liu Jingning wanted to walk forward to stop Zhu Kai, but as soon as she stepped forward, she was terrified by the energy and her face turned pale. She realized that if she took one more step forward, she would be crushed to pieces by the energy. "Don't come near me." Zhu Kai turned around and shouted, "It's already too late." Hearing this, Liu Jingning got very frustrated and sad. She thought Zhu Kai could make another legend this time, but when she saw his face, she realized that he was not going to survive this time. Even a cultivator of the form synthesis stage would not survive this, not to mention he, a cultivator of the infant transformation stage. He is just a young man. Why on earth do the heavens want to punish him like this? No, 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 Little Quack, I will never let you die here. Liu Jingning bit her lips and began to practice an incantation. The next minute, purple light appeared in his hands. "Don't come near me." Zhu Kai shouted and smiled handsomely at Liu Jingning. "Don't come near me, please. All I want is to see you for the last time." "No." Liu Jingning was so sad that her entire body shriveled up. She shook her head and tried so hard to stop her tears. "Don't cry. You don't look beautiful if you cry." Zhu Kai smiled. "Promise me, after I die, take my ashes with you wherever you go. When you are in danger, sprinkle some of my ashes, and I will protect you." Before he even finished these words, the golden swords fell down upon him. The light was so bright that Liu Jingning could no longer see Zhu Kai clearly. Liu Jingning shook her head and shouted, "Zhu Kai, you can't leave me like this. Do you hear me? Haven't you got the divine tracking emblem? Use it." Liu Jingning was about to cry. The Holy Virgin of the Utopia faction, who was called the Devil by others, had never cried before or cared so much about a man. Seeing Zhu Kai like this, her heart ached so much as if someone was cutting it with a knife. She was in deep, deep sorrow. "No, I will not run away this time. This is my choice, and I will never regret it." Just as my Taoist connotation says, the entire world should not contradict me, all the living creatures in the world should not disobey me, all the Buddhists who ever dare to get into my way should be killed. If I run away, I would break my own Taoist connotation. And there is no need for me to have it and the iron stick. Tell me, what should I deal with if I run away? Zhu Kai's voice was so loud that it was echoing in the air. Hearing this, Liu Jingning suddenly realized what was going on. The entire world should not contradict him. No wonder his Taoist connotation is so powerful. No wonder the heavenly tribulation is so strong this time. Even so, I can't let him die here. Liu Jingning clenched her teeth and walked forward slowly in great pain. She had only taken one step, and she had already used up all her energy, and she could no longer take one more step. "Little Quack, you can't die. If the entire world contradict you, I will always obey you. If all the living creatures could not understand you, I will always be the one to speak for you. If the Buddhist gets in your way, I will stand right behind you. The only thing I want in return is your being alive." Liu Jingning's voice trembled. She never imagined that she would care about Zhu Kai's life so much. She had been staying by his side for the last 2 years and watching him getting stronger and stronger. She was very confident that this young man would shake up the world. However, She never thought heaven would be this cruel to take away his life. Really? Liu Jingning heard Zhu Kei's voice. She was shocked and nodded. Great. I shall not die. The next minute, Zhu Kei jumped up. He waved his right fist as quickly as lightning. All of a sudden, 7 shadows appeared in the air, and they all waved their right fists at the same time. In fact, the shadows were not Zhu Kei's doppelgangers, and their appearance was simply due to Zhu Kei's fast speed of waving his fist. Ding! The host has successfully activated the King of Tough Acting Fist by consuming 7,000 acting tough points. Bang! The void collapsed. The King of Tough Acting Fist with 7 colors. Zhu Kei shouted aloud. All of a sudden, 7 huge fists with different colors appeared in the collapsed void. Zhu Kei's Taoist connotation was surrounding the fists. All of a sudden, the 7 fists began to head toward the approaching 200 golden swords. Bang, bang, bang. The golden swords were crushed to pieces one after another. The erupting energy created a fierce energy wave that was even more powerful than the waves in the upflowing sea. The surrounding mountains and rivers began to shake and the earth also started to tremble. Liu Jingning was hit by the energy wave and knocked back more than 10 steps. She tried everything she could to stand still afterward. When she opened her eyes again, she found Zhu Kei standing in front of her, smiling. See, I am still alive. We all know that keeping promises is one of our virtues. I hope you can follow your words. From today on, you should never disobey me and speak for me. I want. Chapter 688. Is something wrong? Boom. The entire sky was covered with golden flashes of lightning and interwoven arcs of light as if a golden rain shower were pouring down. Zhu Kei stood there with a calm smile. His robe was floating in the wind as if he was an invincible celestial who could never be killed. Little sister, I hope. Liu Jingning came to herself when Zhu Kei uttered these words. She had never expected those fatal heavenly tribulations to be easily defeated by Zhu Kei in such a simple way. When he waved his fist, the entire world seemed to be in shock. He was invincible, fighting as if he was facing both heaven and his fate. All obstacles in front of him could be smashed by his fist. He was unstoppable. What kind of magic art is that? Why didn't he use it before? Could that be his greatest achievement over the last 2 years? He managed to learn such a formidable magic art in 2 years. How could such a genius exist in this world? Liu Jingning couldn't find words to express her terror. Also, she realized she had been totally fooled. From the very beginning, Zhu Kei was quite safe, but he pretended he was about to die and had caused her to become emotional. Liu Jingning was quite angry and snorted, "Little brat, you can forget whatever you're hoping for." Zhu Kei, who didn't like her response, hurriedly said, "Little sister, you can't eat your words." HMPH, which words did I eat? Liu Jingning pretended she knew nothing and turned her face to avoid Zhu Kei's eyes. However, she failed to hide her blush. Zhu Kei smirked. "You said you would follow my will." "I never said that." Liu Jingning denied shamelessly. She sounded calm, as if she really hadn't said that. Zhu Kei's eyes widened. "You did." Liu Jingning grinned like a blooming flower. "Unless you can prove it, I didn't say that." "You're awesome, little sister. I didn't expect you to lie so shamelessly." As the saying goes, Jingning is beautiful and sharp. She is also smart and wild. Zhu Kei finished, acting embarrassed. However, in his heart, Zhu Kei was quite happy. Just now he planned to attack when the heavenly tribulation fell on the barrier. Therefore, he teased Liu Jingning by pretending he was about to die during the short waiting time. After that, he smashed the heavenly tribulation with his King of Tough Acting Fist with 7 colors directly. This art created by him had exceeded ordinary magic arts which he could master at his stage. The King of Tough Acting Fist contained magnificent power of his Taoist connotation. He couldn't use this magic art with just the true core strength. If Zhu Kei decided to give a play of this magic art, he would need a long time to gather his Taoist connotation, and he could only use this magic art when he entered the status of Tao comprehension. However, with the assistance of the system, Zhu Kei could omit this time-consuming process directly. The price he had to pay was just the acting tough points. The lowest price offered by the system was 1,000 acting tough points for one punch, 2,000 acting tough points for 2 punches. Also, he could purchase 1 punch with 2,000, 5,000 or even 10,000 acting tough points. The power of these punches would be much higher than the punch which only costed 1,000 acting tough points. For example, the punch purchased with 2,000 acting tough points was definitely more powerful than 2 punches of which the unit price was 1,000 acting tough points, 2 greater than 1 plus 1. But these combinations were quite practicable. For instance, in front of a bulky heavenly tribulation, if he used the punch purchased with 7,000 acting tough points, the power would be enough, but the attack range was too small. The problem could be perfectly solved by 7 punches purchased with 1,000 acting tough points respectively. Moreover, when he threw 7 punches consecutively, the color of each punch would also change: white, pink, red, blue and green, etc., which really formed the king of tough acting fist with 7 colors. In this way, he crossed his 69 heavenly tribulations and reached the void training stage successfully. He obtained a big growth gift bag and also won Liu Jingning's heart successfully. However, to Zhu Kei's surprise, under the joint attack of the king of tough acting fist and the heavenly tribulation, the barrier outside the mountain was still there. Although it was much darker than before, Zhu Kei was still not able to enter the mountain. Now we have a trouble. Even the heavenly tribulation couldn't break it. Zhu Kei's smile had disappeared. His face was full of anxious expression. Liu Jingning, who didn't care about Zhu Kei's trick just now, stepped over slowly and consoled him. Don't worry. Since Zixia Fairy has been living in this mountain for so many years, I guess her strength must be extraordinary. Even the mystery land is closed. The little girl you want to take out will be safe. No, I can't leave her here. Zhu Kei shook his head immediately. Once the mystery land was closed, it would be reopened 100 years later. If he knew Zhao would be trapped in this area for 100 years, she wouldn't have revived her here at the very beginning. After all, he could definitely find a place of which the spiritual qi was as intensive as that in this elixir plantation in 100 years. Boom. Just at this time, a big bang came in from the mountain suddenly. Zhu Kei and Liu Jingning, who were stunned by the big bang, turned to that mountain. Although they could see nothing, this big bang was so familiar to them. When they arrived at this mountain for the first time, they also heard this big bang. At that time, Duanjud said something was blossoming and yielding fruit, so he decided to break the restrictive spell excitedly. Zhu Kei entered the mountain from the rear part of the mountain. Then, he met that beautiful Taoist nun, who almost killed him. Now the big bang came in again. Zhu Kei lit up his eyes and sent a message immediately. Fairy maiden, can you hear me? I am here to take my friend away. Would you please send her out or let me in? HMPH. All at once, a chilly voice came into Zhu Kei's mind, which almost froze his thought. What a shameless man. It was you who attacked my restrictive spells just now, right? The Taoist nun's familiar voice came in again. Zhu Kei replied immediately as he had not time to mention others. Exactly. It was me. The mystery land is about to close soon. You didn't reply me when I called you just now, so I tried to wake you up with this terrible idea. HMPH. I guess you tried to break my restrictive spells with the power of the heavenly tribulations, right? If I didn't wake up in time, these spells would have been destroyed by you. You are wrong about me, fairy maiden. I am not that kind of man. God is my witness. Zhu Kei shouted in grievance. He was so good at telling lies shamelessly. Apparently, Zixia Fairy didn't believe what he said, so she snorted. It seems you also have a lot of secrets. You even managed to reach the void training stage within 2 years. You could be deemed as a genius even in our time. What do you mean in your time? Fairy maiden, I don't have time to chat with you. Please give Zhao back to me. Are you sure you want me to send her out now? Zixia Fairy asked curiously, and a strand of contemplation was contained in her words. Hearing her words, Zhu Kei frowned and became suspicious immediately. Is something wrong to send her out now? Chapter 689, I got it wrong. Zhu Kei was confused and could not understand what Zixia Fairy really meant. You shall leave immediately, and you will pay the price for almost destroying my privacy in the future." Zixia Fairy's voice echoed in the air. Zhu Ke was rather unhappy when he heard this. "What do you intend to do?" "The reason I wanted to leave Zhaorin your medicine garden was because I believe in you. Can I take it that you don't want to set Zhaoer free?" Zixia Fairy did not reply. Zhu Ke got a bit anxious. He knew Zixia Fairy was Duanju's master, and he had been told that she was a very decent figure. He never thought she would do something bad. However, he also never thought she would not free Zhaoer. "Please, if you're angry with me, punish me. Please don't be tough on Zhaoer, she is still a young girl," Zhu Ke said pleadingly. Zixia Fairy again made no reply. Zhu Ke's face instantly became gloomy. "No, I can't allow this to happen. She must set Zhaoer free." "Well, I will just stay here until she is willing to set Zhaoer free." "You really are not going to set Zhaoer free?" "Good. I do admire your courage. Wait for me." "You wait for me here." "You." Zixia Fairy still was silent. Zhu Ke sneered and then he took out a huge speaker from his system market and put it right at the foot of the mountain. Then he took out a microphone and stared at the mountain. "Little Quack, what are you doing?" Liu Jingning was a bit shocked. She had been standing next to Zhu Ke all this time, but she had no idea what had just happened between Zhu Ke and Zixia Fairy. Zhu Ke did not explain and pushed the on button. Suddenly, loud music blared out. Zhu Ke began to sing. "The mighty sect in the South Continent is already doomed. The biggest sect in the South Continent is already doomed. Zixia Fairy, the bastard, knows nothing but eating, drinking, sex, and gambling. She borrowed tens of billions and is in huge debt, and, worst of all, she runs away with my Zhaoer. I am really cornered and have already run way out of my way. Now, anyone who could help me to get Zhaoer out would receive the living holy tree as a reward. The living holy tree will be now free. I would give it to anyone who breaks the restrictions." Zixia Fairy, you are so shameless. I have been working so hard for you for more than half an year. You. Hearing this, Liu Jingning was stunned. She could not believe the words that her ears had heard. So was Zixia Fairy. The next minute, a magnificent power came flashing down. Bang! The power hit right on Zhu Ke. He immediately summoned out his Taoist body to withstand the power. At the same time, he grabbed a microphone and continued to sing. "I have been working so hard for you for more than half a year. You still want to kill me? Shut up." Zixia Fairy could no longer suppress her anger and shouted aloud. She shouted so loud that the entire mountain began to shake. For the first time, Liu Jingning heard her voice, and she was shocked by it. After all, Zixia Fairy was a legendary figure, someone who was living in an age that was far, far away from hers. In other words, Zixia Fairy had already been born before the Utopia faction was even established. Zhu Ke stared at the mountain and said in a low voice, "Set Zhaoer free." He did not care if he infuriated Zixia Fairy, he only cared about Zhaoer. Zixia Fairy said angrily, "Shame on you. 2 years ago, when I was still cultivating in seclusion, I already knew what you have done. But now, you are still so impetuous. I swear when I get out, I will kill you." Hearing this, Zhu Ke was a bit afraid. 2 years ago, in fact, he sexually assaulted Zixia Fairy when she was cultivating. He never realized that Zixia Fairy knew about it all along, which was indeed embarrassing. "Well, I think you have misunderstood me. I thought you were dead at that time, so I tried to save your life. You know, I touched your chest to save you. That's called CPR." Zhu Ke explained. "Anyway, if you're angry with me, you should take it out on me, not Zhaoer." Hearing this, Zixia Fairy sneered. "I have to say that the way you brought someone back to life is indeed brilliant and unique. You easily bring a girl back to life with 5 Genesis herbs and living holy water. But the disadvantage of your doing that is that it often takes a very long time. Zhaoer is still rebuilding her body. If you take her away now, she would die anyway." "What? She is still not completely alive?" Zhu Ke was shocked. He hurriedly summoned the system and checked the time. It said that it would take 2 years and 3 days in total. During the last 2 years, Zhu Ke had been cultivating and had not counted the time. According to the system, There were 5 more days. Crap, I got it wrong. Zuke suddenly got very upset and felt a bit embarrassed. I see, she wants to help her, not to hurt her. I am really ashamed of myself. It's all because the time period of Zhao's resurrection and that of my cultivation were too close. That is why I forgot to count the days and made a fool of myself. This place is about to close in 3 days. And I can't take Zhao Ruian now. Does this mean I would have to wait for another century? If I knew this would happen, I would not brought her back to life so hurriedly. I would have at least waited until I got out of here and found a good spot. If I am right, Zhao would need a few more days, and the last few days are of great importance to her. She cannot be interrupted. I hope you can be patient. Zixia Fairy's tone got a bit softer. In case Zuke wanted to do something extreme. She is indeed a woman of integrity, just like Duanjud has said. I have embarrassed her in public, and she did not take revenge. Instead, she suppressed her anger for Zhao's sake. I am sorry to have misunderstood you. To express my apology, I would like to sing a song to prove you are not guilty. Zuke said, while picking up his microphone. Shut up. I don't need you to do that. You are right. You have to be responsible for what you have done. I shall never hurt an innocent girl, Zixia Fairy answered, hoping to avoid more of Zuke's music. Good. Then just come to me. I am made of tough things. Zuke smiled. Zixia Fairy sent a voice message. Well, I thought you would not be willing to admit you are wrong. I will soon get out of here. I promise I will take Zhao with me. When I see you again, I swear I will take your life. Hearing this, Zuke said, if you take Zhao out of here, I will do anything I can to show you my gratitude. Everyone knows that I am a brave, decent, and tough man who is not afraid of death. Chapter 690. This is cheating. Although Zuke's words, which even included quotes of some well-known phrases like being alive or dead, I will be a hero who is upright and unyielding, sounded quite sincere, Zixia Fairy didn't believe him at all. When Zuke tried to escape after ruining her elixir plantation, she knew Zuke was totally a villain, who was even worse than her exiled apprentice Duanjud. A bad guy like Zuke would definitely be a public enemy in her age. Also, Zixia Fairy was curious how a bad guy like Zuke could stay alive till now. She thought the way of the world had been changed. Therefore, she made a decision that the first thing she would do after going out was to kill Zuke to prevent him from doing evil to this world. Of course, if she went out now, she would find Zuke had already become the public enemy of this world. For example, just at this moment, all families and sects had sent their people to gather outside the Mystery Land. Some of them were onlookers, but most of these cultivators were waiting for Zuke. 1 year ago, patriarchs of the families and sects reappeared in this world. In the exclamations of numerous cultivators, these patriarchs arrived at this place and also planned to capture Zuke when he came out. However, half a year ago, a lot of patriarchs had left for the infinite sea of the North Sea. None of them had returned yet. Now, the Mystery Land was about to close. Countless powerhouses of different families and sects were waiting outside the entrance. One patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe chose to stay. Apparently, his goal was to kill Zuke personally. The Mystery Land will be closed in 2 days. Could Zuke really have the guts to come out? Someone asked expectantly. Now, patriarchs of all families and sects have woken up. During this period, a lot of people have come in and out of the Mystery Land. I guess Zuke has been freaked out after getting the news. Haha, he has to come out sooner or later. He could come out himself, or be teleported out by the Mystery Land, or disappear together with the Mystery Land. According to the information provided by people from the East Continent, that guy has a kind of spell that could help him escape instantly like the earth shrinking art. Hey, it won't help him this time. In front of the patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe, he will be killed before he has time to ignite that spell. Although that patriarch is the youngest one, his strength is not the lowest among all patriarchs of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe. It is said he has reached level 6 of the form synthesis stage. Incredible. He could eliminate a mid-sized sect with one hand. Only 2 days left. Let's just wait and see. No matter how cunning that Zuke is, he has to face his death in front of the ultimate strength. Many people were sneering and were looking forward to witnessing the scene when Zuke was killed by the patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe. However, people of the Sky Incense Valley looked quite pale. Within the past year, they had seen so many patriarchs arrive and firmly believed Zuke was really doomed this time. Although there was only one patriarch left, they still believed the result wouldn't be changed. Now the Mystery Land was about to close, and most people of the Sky Incense Valley had left. Zhang Suliang and Tang Zuoru decided to stay, as Zuke's friends. They decided to do what they could, such as collecting the body of Zuke. At the same time, Zuke and Liu Jingning were also about to leave the Mystery Land. Zuke believed Zixia Fairy. Since she said she would leave together with Zhao, she would definitely keep her word. Although she only said she would leave soon but didn't mention when, Zuke thought it was still better than seeking for Zhao by entering this place 100 years later. As for Zixia Fairy threatening to kill Zuke after coming out, Zuke chose to ignore her threat. We've been connected by the red rope of marriage. How dare you murder your husband? I will definitely punish you. Little Quack, it seems you really have a lot of intimate friends. I didn't expect you hid a little girl here. Liu Jingning said with a smile, looking at Zuke. Zuke raised his eyebrows and said seriously, "It is quite normal for an honest young man like me to have a lot of intimate friends. The point is, it seems all your intimate friends are women." Liu Jingning said with a smile, but her tone was a little bit weird. When they were in the Five Elements Mountain, she knew Zuke had several female companions, but then she didn't care about it. After all, Zuke was just a junior to her. She didn't know why she had started to get annoyed about it now. Therefore, when they talked about this issue, Liu Jingning didn't really understand what her point of view was. After all, even though she knew Zuke had no obligation to answer her questions, she was still curious about how he would answer. Alas! Zuke stopped suddenly, then, looking forward, he sighed desolately. "What's wrong?" Liu Jingning was shocked by his reaction and didn't know the reason. Zuke touched his face and said sadly, "Blame it all on me. I am too handsome. All my problems have been caused by my handsome face. But I will still be handsome for the rest of my life. What can I do? I am also suffering from despair." After saying that, he walked away desolately, putting his hands behind his back. Liu Jingning was stunned on the spot. After a while, she stomped her feet and snorted, "What a brazen bastard. You are so shameless." Finally, they stepped toward the entrance of the Mystery Land. Liu Jingning didn't mention Zuke's intimate friends anymore, for she got more and more worried as they walked up to the entrance. After all, they had heard some news on their way from some passers-by. The patriarchs of the families and sects woke up 1 year ago. The world was not quiet anymore. Moreover, a patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe was waiting outside the entrance for Zuke. "Little Quack, are you sure you can escape safely?" Liu Jingning couldn't help but ask the question that worried her the most as they approached the entrance. Zuke shook his head and said with a smile, "I remember I said I could be safe, but I didn't say I will escape." "Let's go, little sister." "Do you think that patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe could defend himself from one punch from me?" Liu Jingning was stunned. Then she remembered Zuke smashed hundreds of golden swords with one punch when he crossed his heavenly tribulations, which relieved most of her worries. But it didn't mean Zuke could really defeat a patriarch. Anyway, in front of a cultivator at the form synthesis stage, no matter how powerful Zuke was, he could ensure his survival at most. "Okay, just don't do anything reckless. Once the situation becomes unfavorable, you should escape with your spell," Liu Jingning reminded him seriously. Zuke replied ambiguously with a weird smile on his face. When his Taoist connotation hadn't taken shape, he didn't dare to upgrade through killing people for fear that he would destroy his Taoist connotation. Now his Taoist connotation had taken shape. Together with his powerful magic arts, he had become fearless. Moreover, he had just crossed his 69 heavenly tribulations. Now he needed upgrades urgently. According to his style, The appearance of a patriarch was just something Zuke wanted to accumulate experience points. For Zuke, the patriarch at the form synthesis stage was nothing. If he couldn't defeat the patriarch with a punch that cost 1,000 acting tough points, he would use the punch that cost 2,000 acting tough points. If he still couldn't defeat the patriarch, he could still use the punches that cost 3,000, 4,000, or 5,000 acting tough points. This king of tough acting fist was just a cheating art. Boom. One day later, a dull sound came from the barrier at the entrance to the Mystery Land. Two figures dashed out. One was a handsome man and the other was a beautiful woman. People outside the entrance fixed their eyes on those two people, and their expressions changed immediately. Zuke, he really came out. Wait. Oh, no. How could he reach the void training stage? It seems the hearsay is true. He didn't destruct his cultivation. 2 years ago, he was at the infant transformation stage. He finished his secluded cultivation in the Mystery Land in the last 2 years. What a cunning guy. I've heard he didn't have the Taoist connotation before. Now he has reached the void training stage, which means he has found an opportunity in the Mystery Land apparently. Hey, what a pity. The patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe is waiting for him. After being surprised, the onlookers started to take pleasure in Zuke's misfortune. For them, no matter what kind of opportunity Zuke had found, he was nothing but a dead person now. Boom. Just at this moment, a dull sound came from the summit of the mountain. It seemed the void was being shaken by someone. Then, a magnificent pressure swept over everything. This momentum suffocated a lot of cultivators in this area, whose foreheads were covered by cold sweat. The strength of a patriarch at the form synthesis stage was incredibly powerful. Liu Jingning clenched her teeth and was about to remind Zuke to escape by sending him a message. Then, suddenly, a deafening voice came from the summit of the mountain. You are Zuke, right? Good. Now come over here and count out to me in 3 breaths. The patriarch at the form synthesis stage said with indisputable arrogance and determination. Even though they knew they were not the target of the patriarch, the onlookers still turned pale immediately. However, Zuke replied with a faint smile as he stood there calmly. It's nice. I've just finished my secluded cultivation. Now, someone is trying to get in a beef with me. Tell me, what kind of punch do you want?